began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
Is Sports Center.
I'm Doug Brown. If the Celtics sweep the Mavericks tonight, they would join the 2001 Lakers as the only teams to go 8-0 on the road in an NBA postseason. Our coverage of Game 4 starts at 7:30 Eastern here on ESPN Radio. The game also on ABC. And our Brian Windhorst believes one more Celtics win would also ensure something else.
Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum's numbers are getting retired. They're going in the rafters. Like, does everybody realize that? Like, they're going to be up there with Bird and McHale and Russell and Havlicek. They're going to be up there. And before you say, well, they only won one championship, guess how many titles the Celtics have won in the last 38 years? One.
Brian Windhorst on Carlin versus Joe. Sweden's Ludvig Åberg holds the lead right now in the second round at the U.S. Open. He's at 6 under par. 4 players are 2 shots back, including Bryson DeChambeau and Patrick Cantlay. The Astros cut 37-year-old Jose Abreu today. He's in year 2 of a 3-year, $58.5 million contract.
As humans, we like having options. One option you might like is speaking with a real person when you call about your credit card. With 24/7 live, U.S.-based customer service from Discover, everyone can talk to a real person anytime, day or night. Limitations apply. See terms at discover.com/credit card.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios.
Let's ride.
Welcome into a Friday edition of After Further Review, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar. Musso in for Moscona, Alondra Villarreal, Paul O'Neill, along for the ride, and glad you are as well. Hopefully sticking around with us for the next 3 hours. We'll send you into a Father's Day weekend here on AFR. We have a lot to get to here. We'll jump into some LSU baseball, of course, plenty of Saints talk to get to, as well as now that they kind of wrap up minicamp, put a hold on the offseason until training camp. You just have a summer to talk about everything you've got. And there's one major storyline that I think is going to carry the summer that we're going to get into here momentarily. They got good news on the injury front as well, did the New Orleans Saints. So plenty to get to across the next 3 hours. College World Series is underway. Virginia just took a 2-1 lead over North Carolina in the opener of the College World Series there in the 6th inning. So, we'll keep an eye on that as we go throughout the hour as well. Ronnie Rants going to hop aboard with us, come in studio with us for a couple segments in the second hour. Talk some College World Series, some LSU, some Portal, and, of course, all the happenings with the Baton Rouge Rougarou as they have a big weekend coming up there out at Goolsby. So be happy to have Ronnie with us in the 4 o'clock hour as well. So let's go ahead and get started, though, with our opening segment, of course, presented by Bud Light.
It's time to pop the top on another edition of AFR with Bud Light. Drink easy.
And we'll start with the New Orleans Saints. And we'll start with what I kind of alluded to there, what I think is going to kind of be the storyline that carries you through the summer that isn't on field for the New Orleans Saints, and that's Alvin Kamara's contract. We mentioned this briefly yesterday, talked about it a little bit with John Hendricks when he was on the show with us, but we didn't go too in-depth. I want to go a little bit more in-depth now. So, what we know, obviously, Alvin Kamara reports to mandatory minicamp, participates in the first 2 days, goes through walkthrough on Thursday, and then deuces, pieces out. And it just trickles out. It's a contract dispute. And when you look deeper, you look at both the Saints and Kamara kind of drawing a line in the sand so far throughout these discussions. And it's fair to ask because both the team and Kamara have kind of drawn that line in the sand, made a statement towards the other. It's completely fair to ask if this is the beginning of the end for Alvin Kamara in New Orleans. He's under contract through 2024, but you have that 2025 year where he's set to make $22.4 million. None of that is guaranteed. So basically, 2024 is the final year of Alvin Kamara's contract. And looking deeper at it, the Saints had plenty of time throughout the offseason to restructure that deal if they so choose. Mike Garafolo from the NFL Network reported that the Saints have been trying to restructure that deal with Alvin Kamara for the last few months, but there's been no progress there. What the Saints haven't been willing to do, at least as it seems on the surface right now, is sign Alvin Kamara to a long-term extension. And there's reasons for that we will get into. And quite honestly, they're understandable reasons. If you're in the New Orleans Saints' shoes, if you're in Alvin Kamara's shoes, you can also understand why he would clearly want a long-term extension. For one, Alvin Kamara has made it clear he wants to remain in New Orleans for his entire career. It's a funny thing with Kamara. He's been, just compared to Christian McCaffrey throughout their entire careers. They were in the same draft class. For a long time, their production ran parallel, but the thing that AK always kind of had over McCaffrey was he did it in fewer touches. Like McCaffrey was just an absolute bell cow when he was getting all that production. Kamara wasn't. He had Mark Ingram to take some of the slack. He had it was a two-back system for the majority of the time there in New Orleans with Kamara. McCaffrey's the highest paid running back. Kamara's number 2. They ran parallel. And when you look at those two side by side, and this is not the only reason, it's just the comp that you can't avoid. While McCaffrey's continued that steady incline, Kamara's production has dipped. And that's why if you're the Saints, you look at this and say, okay, not wanting to commit long term. Alvin Kamara in the last 3 years has averaged less than 4 yards per rush in all 3 years. He averaged just 5.4 yards per reception last season, which was the biggest part of his game. Now, granted, you have the change in offense, and we're going to get to that. But the production has just fallen off, and then there's the age factor. Kamara's 29 years old. He's going to be 30 soon. Running back is a position that is obviously being devalued more and more in the National Football League. No matter, how productive you maybe were in the past, as the slightest hint of that production ceasing, your value plummets. Right, wrong, or indifferent, that seems like how it's been going in the NFL for a while now when it comes to running back. So when you're the Saints and you're looking at that, at the decline in production, age, all of that, having an off-ramp from the deal after this season, you can look at it and say, is it the beginning of the end? Then there's Kamara's point of view. And that has to go into the new offense in New Orleans with Clint Kubiak. Because by all accounts, Alvin Kamara is the perfect fit for this offense. You can get back to the McCaffrey comparison there, right? You can't avoid it. Those two guys have run parallel forever. You had multiple people come on this show this week talking about what they've seen from Kamara in the new offense, the screen pass, a wheel route, things you hadn't seen forever. Remember early in the year, Kamara had like 14 targets or 14 receptions in 2023 in one game, but the production just wasn't there. They were force-feeding him the ball. They just knew, well, you've got this asset, you got to get him the football, but there was actually no plan. There's a plan for Alvin Kamara in this offense. Could his production return in this offense? Absolutely, but that's an if. And with the way the Saints have handled this, it seems like they are very much in wait-and-see mode with Alvin Kamara. Okay, can you do it? And the other half of that is, even if the Saints are productive offensively and you do see an uptick, yet maybe the overall record doesn't improve, you miss the playoffs again, Dennis Allen's probably fired, and you're probably looking at a staff overhaul. So even if it's just 1 year that, yes, the production returned, it was in that offense. If you overhaul the staff because the overall team success wasn't there, you're kind of back to square one, aren't you? You're in that same position where, the production was there, but would it be there in another new system? There's plenty of reasons to look and see why the Saints should kind of be in that, hey, let's take a step back. Let's see how this actually goes and works. So what happens? What is the most likely outcome with the Saints and Alvin Kamara? And is it something that can be reached before the start of the season? The only way I think something gets done from the Saints standpoint is if they can agree on some type of restructure, like they did with Taysom Hill. That's a way you can commit yourself to the player for the future without long-term extension. If the Saints and Kamara can come to an agreement on a restructure, which, as we mentioned earlier in this segment, they've been trying to work on, they just don't have the progress. If they can somehow get the progress, you get him some guaranteed money for 2025. You'll throw another void year probably on the back of it, which actually has kind of gotten you into this spot a little bit as well. But you'll do that, and he'll have some security going through. He'll be able to actually play out the full 5 years of the deal, all of that. I think that is a possibility for something to happen either before training camp or definitely before the season. I don't think there's any path for a long-term extension until the Saints would see how Alvin Kamara actually fits in this offense and how this offense impacts winning in the future of the organization. The off-ramp after this season's just too good. I mean, there's no guaranteed money. The dead cap hit drops to $10.1 million. And if you release him in the offseason, you could save up to $18.9 million against the cap. You don't give something like that up when there's that big of an unknown for you with someone whose production has dropped off and is getting older. Is it the beginning of the end? It certainly could be. I think what the Saints have made clear is it's up to Alvin Kamara to prove that it's not. And he'll get his chance. If they get something done, restructure, long-term extension. He's going to have to go out there and prove that he's still got it. And he's also going to have to kind of hitch his wagon to this offense, improving the Saints to where they make the postseason in order to keep this thing together into the future. We'll see. It's going to be a very interesting offseason now that they're done with mandatory minicamp and whatnot until training camp, when you could just kind of focus in on something like Alvin Kamara's contract. And I'm sure this is not the last that we'll talk about it here on these airwaves. All right, let's grab a break. We'll come back on the other side. It's Friday's AFR. Of course, we're presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar. Musso filling in for Moscona. Scone's back on Monday. They had to make a quick doctor's visit with Drew, just an annual deal that they do every. I think he explained that earlier in the week, actually, before he left. But in case you missed that, that's where Scone is. So he will be back on Monday, catching you up on all that. And again, I'm sure he'll have thoughts on Kamara's contract and in the minicamp and all of that. Right now, we'll grab our break. We'll come back on the other side. And pretty big arm from the state of Louisiana jumped in the transfer portal. Is it worth a look for LSU? We'll talk about that next on AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by River City's 1 Hour Air, where they're always on time or you don't pay a dime. 752-001-752-0001, where they're always on time or you don't pay a dime. I love sharing 5-star Google reviews. Here's one from Ricky Gomez, who said Chris, his technician, was very professional and knowledgeable during the HVAC evaluation. He provided details and recommendations in a clear and concise manner. That's one of the things that always stands out. If you're having an issue with your AC or your heater, and River City's 1 Hour Air sends out a technician for an evaluation, they're going to explain your options to you. And that may sound simple, but none of it, I don't know anything about an HVAC, neither do you. Let's be honest. So whenever they go get up in your attic or they go look at your HVAC unit on the side of your house and they come talk to you, they're going to explain very clearly what's happening and your options to remedy it. It's River City's 1 Hour Air. Look for the big yellow vans and trucks with the giant clock on the side. 752-0001.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Farming is a way of life for us. It's not something we get up in the morning and dread going do. It's just something we go to bed at night looking forward to getting up to go do. John Deere equipment is what we as farmers strive to have. It's in your blood, it's in your veins. It's just a part of who you are. Green is what we want to be in. The other tractors were acquired to patch it up to get to where you want to be. Where we want to be is in John Deere. Flip the switch and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar.
Quick reminder about Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, lmfj.com. lmfj.com for Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. They're the best. If you are, gentlemen, thinking about popping the question and you're thinking about where am I going to go buy that diamond, I want you to consider this. There are places that will sell you man-made lab diamonds, but what are you buying? It's according to its makeup and characteristics, sure, diamond. But is it going to hold its value? Like, is that the way you want to say, I love you, I want to spend the rest of my life with you? Go to Lee Michaels. Go to Lee Michaels. Walk in the door. Experience the thing I talk about all the time, which is the Lee Michaels experience. It's Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry with 10 locations. Baton Rouge, 2 locations in Baton Rouge. New Orleans, Lafayette, Shreveport, Mississippi, Texas as well. 10 locations across 3 states. It's Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Thrill her, gentlemen. Thrill her with a gift in the red box from Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry.
Earlier today, Kendall Rogers from D1 Baseball tweeted a pretty interesting update to the transfer portal. Nichols right-handed pitcher Jacob Myers entered his name into the portal. If you don't know who Jacob Myers is, well, let me explain. Jacob Myers just completed his sophomore season at Nichols. He's a Gonzales native, went to Santa Maria, so Louisiana guy, born and raised. 6'5", 205 pounds, big stock righty, had a incredible freshman season for the Colonels. Was a National Freshman Pitcher of the Year by the Writers Association and was a Freshman Pitcher of the Year by Collegiate Baseball. That's 2 national honors in that regard. He was a consensus freshman All-American. I mean, you're looking at, Baseball America, Collegiate, Perfect Game, the Writers, D1, all of them had him freshman All-American there. And when you look at the numbers, it stands to reason why. He was in the rotation from day one on campus at Nichols. Went 9-1 as a freshman with an ERA of 2.02, struck out 105 and 75 in 2/3 innings. He started their regional opener on the road against Alabama as the 4 facing the 1, got the start there and was awesome. I actually can remember watching a lot of that game. It was Myers versus Holman, and it was like Nichols had like a 2-1 lead for the majority of that ball game, and Myers was a huge reason why. He pitched into the 6th inning that night, struck out 8. He was awesome. The fastball was up to 96, so that shows you kind of what this guy is. Stock arm, stock righty, high velo fastball. Like I said, get up to 96, 97. He's got a good breaker. He's worked in an off-speed pitch as well. So it's a 3-pitch guy, and he spent 2 years in the starting rotation. Struck out 211 batters in 2 seasons at Nichols in 146 innings. That, again, shows you the overpowering stuff. 14-2, an ERA of just over 3. The opponent's hitting 170 against him for his career. All of that, you're probably thinking to yourself, go get him. Like, what is everybody waiting for? This needs to be LSU's next target. Go get him. And Kendall Rogers in that tweet noted he will be highly coveted. There's one thing, though. One thing that gives me pause and should probably give everybody pause. And it's the walk number. In 146 1/3 career innings, Jacob Myers has walked 134 batters. He led the nation in walks in 2024 as a sophomore with 76. That's obviously a huge number. But what's more concerning is the 58 as a freshman and then going into the 76 as a sophomore. Like, it's 18 more walks. Like, what happened there with the command? I'm not going to sit here and tell you that's a reason to not sign this guy, to not even go after. That's not what I'm going to tell you. I think you absolutely actually should. But what you need to be positive of is there's a way to remedy that. Hypothetically, if this guy ends up at LSU, Nate Yeskie, the work that Nate Yeskie did with the pitching staff this year deserves credit. Like, I understand that everybody wanted Nate Yeskie's head on a platter midway through his first season in Baton Rouge, which was kind of ridiculous if we're being honest, especially if you look at how that pitching staff finished out the season, where they cut their ERA like in half down the stretch there in conference play. And you saw Christian Little get better. Look at what happened with Will Helmers. Gage Jump, obviously, throughout the course of the season, improved. Just the improvement that Luke Holman made in his 1 year in Baton Rouge from Alabama, to LSU, and we could go on. There are examples, and it bore itself out clearly. I mean, Griffin Herring obviously got better. There are examples, and it showed down the stretch. Is that walk issue something that they can work with and fix? If it is, by all means. The one thing I will say, though, and I told you, I think it's absolutely worth kicking the tires on just because the upside's clearly there. Everything else, I mean, it's the one blemish. It's a big blemish, but it's the one blemish. How would everything adjust to the Southeastern Conference? Fair question as well. All of that, but there's risk in every transfer. There's risk in every single guy that you would take. What I will say with this is why that stat gives me so much pause is that's the one thing that can really keep a guy off the field. So you have to be sure that there is a path to fixing that at LSU or anywhere. Anywhere that any school that will look at him in the portal and want to take him, you have to be sure of that. I think a guy like Javen Coleman is a perfect example this year for LSU. Javen Coleman's got tremendous upside. He's got great stuff, and you've seen it in flashes at LSU. And when he was in the zone this year, he was great. The problem was the consistency just wasn't there. And that's what you see here. You can get away with that a little bit in the Southland Conference, not so much in the SEC. It's how you don't find the field. The other thing I will say is a conversation we had yesterday when we talked about remaining portal needs for LSU and how they were going about their performance in the portal so far, and it being so pointed and so, need specific and addressing things that plagued them throughout the 2024 season. And I loved that. And it's the conversation we had, because I said, they're not taking guys to just take guys, because you have so much turnover. And while I don't think this would be taking a guy just to take a guy, because he's obviously got experience as a starter with that type of electric stuff, you could see him at the back end of a bullpen, but it just all comes back to those walks. If you're going to fill a role, whether it be starter specifically, especially bullpen, especially the back end, you can't come in and not throw strikes. So that's it. He's a fascinating prospect because of that. Because it looks like, man, it's just one thing. Like it's one blemish. And can you fix that blemish? And are you willing to risk a spot on your team to fix the blemish? That's ultimately the question I think that LSU has to answer with this guy. Because there's no doubt in my mind, this is a guy from Louisiana who would love to play at LSU. And his journey, and I probably should have included this a little bit more in kind of the intro to this segment. His journey's fascinating. He got cut as a freshman in high school. He was not on the team. Didn't start really pitching until his senior year. And has just a lot of raw, untapped talent. And that also could contribute to those walks. You get the right guy, get his hands on him, you could have a really special talent and a really productive player for you. He's intriguing. And I want to see kind of what direction LSU might go with this. For what it's worth, he had never pitched against LSU because he's just been in a starting rotation role his entire time. But that's the thing. I don't think it would be taking a guy just to take a guy, but I think it'd be a calculated risk because you do have so much turnover on this year's team. If you're LSU, are you sure that you want to risk a spot without knowing for sure if you can fix the one ailment? I think you kick the tires. Let me be clear. I think there's enough upside and enough untapped upside to absolutely kick the tires. But you're going to have to fight off some pretty big names as well, because the rest of the resume outside of the base on balls is flawless for a guy like Jacob Myers. So just a name. It's very obviously very, very early in that process. He entered the portal this morning. Just a name maybe to keep an eye on going forward around LSU baseball and their summer portal conquest. All right, we're going to grab a break, come back on the other side. From the LSU baseball portal, we'll talk a little bit about the LSU basketball portal as they got some rough news earlier today as well. Get you an update from Omaha and go around the SEC. All that next on a Friday edition of AFR presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar.
AFR.
Brought to you by Darren James and Associates, brokered by LPT Realty. Every home listed by every company, all in one place. You know where to find them. Agent225.com. Agent225.com. Talking to all y'all over in Lafayette as well in the 337. Darren James has an office over in Lafayette. If you need to sell your home in the 337, you need Darren James. The number one realtor in the state of Louisiana, the number 14 realtor in America on the Wall Street Journal's Real Trends list of the top 1% of realtors in America. That came out just a couple of weeks ago. I'm so proud, so fired up for Darren. I've told you for years that he's the best. And Darren has a way of making you feel like, despite all the volume he does, that you are his only client. He's exceptional at the entire process of communicating throughout and getting you results. Number 14 in America on the transaction side, it's Darren James. 335-7666 or agent225.com.
Think real estate, think Darren James.
When things heat up, you don't just want a cold one. You want the coldest one. The cold lagered, cold filtered, cold packaged one. Mountain Cold Refreshment. Coors Light. Choose chill.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is taking $20,000 off new 23 Ram 1500 trucks. We're open for business in our beautiful new showroom and taking $20,000 off the powerful Ram truck. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 7-year, 100,000-mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Farming is a way of life for us. It's not something we get up in the morning and dread going do. It's just something we go to bed at night looking forward to getting up to go do. John Deere equipment is what we as farmers strive to have. It's in your blood, it's in your veins. It's just a part of who you are. Green is what we want to be in. The other tractors were acquired to patch it up to get to where you want to be. Where we want to be is in John Deere. Flip the switch and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar.
We're brought to you by Optimize. Go to generatorpeople.com, generatorpeople.com. You want a Generac automatic home standby generator? Let me rephrase. Of course you do. So why should you go with Optimize? 2 reasons. Number 1, the affordability. They have financing options to fit any budget, and you get your upfront quote price, meaning whatever they quote you on site. It's not like they're going to come back later and there's going to be fees and install fees and techs and no. Whatever that number is that they quote you, boom, that's it. Turnkey installation. When they're done, it is ready to roll if the power goes out. Number 2, that's all they do at Optimize. They're not a business, an electrical business that does 10 different things. They do one thing. They sell, service, and install Generac automatic home standby generators. They got 4 locations across the 1012 corridor. So it doesn't matter if you're in Lake Charles, Slidell, or any point in between. They are Louisiana's #1 Generac dealer. Optimize. Go to generatorpeople.com. Easy website, generatorpeople.com.
All right, earlier this week, you'll remember, told you Coleman Hawkins, the highest uncommitted player in the basketball transfer portal, forward out of Illinois, was set to make a visit to LSU, and we played this clip from him at the NBA scouting combine where he talked about, he wasn't going to go back to the Big Ten. He didn't want to play in the Big East. He wanted to go somewhere where he could enjoy a football game. And we thought, man, say no more, Coleman Hawkins. It's LSU. It's Saturday night in Death Valley. We got you, man. come on down. He's going to make a visit. You got a great pitch. Here we go. The other competition was Kansas State. Feeling good. Little Apple. It's got a great atmosphere, but it's not the SEC. You want to enjoy a football game. You come down to the SEC and you want to learn some good basketball. You come on down. Let's do it. Well, earlier today, it was reported that Coleman Hawkins had canceled his visit to LSU. That's never good. And after that, it was reported that Coleman Hawkins committed to Kansas State. So he will finish his career in Manhattan with Kansas State. And look, it's a huge get, obviously, for them. And, congrats, moving on. I guess Coleman Hawkins just doesn't really love football as much as he said he did. Because, we can just throw that out the window, ball up that quote, and just toss it in the wastebasket. So he's off to Kansas State. You'll just leave it at that. Best of luck watching them win a terrible Big 12 or a All-State 12, whatever that league's called these days. Enjoy watching that team.
Well, they gave him a $2 million NIL contract. I don't think LSU basketball was offering him $2 million to come play here.
Probably not.
No.
And that might cure some of your woes with football.
Yeah. I don't care about football if I'm making $2 million.
Yeah, I guess that's fair. I
can fly to Death Valley every weekend.
That's an awful lot of money for him too.
Yeah.
But this is what a 4 or 5 year player. Now that's $2 million. Okay, well, whatever. Look, I'm not here to judge how people spend their money. Kansas State donors want to do that. Go ahead. So there you go. He gets a great NIL deal. Don't care about football anymore. He'll go to Kansas State. The point isn't really that. The point is LSU. Think back to the conversation we had yesterday about the LSU basketball program and the offseason that Matt McMahon put together. They didn't need Coleman Hawkins. You would have loved to have had him. That would have been great. But that would have kind of just been the icing on the top. You're bringing in a top 10 recruiting class just off of high school. You add Noah Boyd as a junior college transfer who's massive and gives you size and rim protection and things of that nature that you needed. You have a great core still coming back to add into that. And oh, by the way, there's still Jordan Sears. There's still Cam Carter, coincidentally, from Kansas State. Coming in. So the core that you had and what you've added, LSU men's basketball still in a great, great spot. Would you have loved a chance at Coleman Hawkins? Sure. You absolutely would have loved that opportunity. It didn't work out. He'll move on, and so will you. The expectation doesn't change. The excitement shouldn't change around this team for 2024, 2025 either, because the arrow, as we said yesterday, firmly pointing up for Matt McMahon and his program, and this does not change that at all. It would have, at least I think, looking at the way their offseason has gone, that would have been a luxury. And to sit here and say that heading into year 3, where the top uncommitted player remaining would have been a luxury, I feel like that's a pretty good spot to be in. So I'm still fired up to watch them get out there and take the court here come November, and just continue to build the program in a more positive direction that Matt McMahon's doing already. All right. Let's go around the SEC.
Around the SEC, bringing you the biggest news from the nation's best conference. The South Carolina Gamecocks.
I was going to talk College World Series, but we'll do that to end the segment. South Carolina, they land a commitment from linebacker A.J. Holloway out of Buford, Georgia. Made his pledge to the Gamecocks this morning on social media. 6'3", 225 pounds, a 3-star recruit, according to On3, the number 91 linebacker in the state of Georgia, and the number 83 overall player in the state of Georgia for the class of 2025. Previously had offers from more than 15 schools, including Louisville, North Carolina, Kansas, Auburn, LSU, and Texas. Louisville was considered the other finalist, but he's heading to Columbia.
The Arkansas Razorbacks.
Sam Pittman grabbed a commitment from offensive lineman Cash Courtney. He committed on Thursday evening, reuniting with offensive line coach Eric Mateos. He had originally committed to Mateos at Baylor last October, but when Mateos moved on to Arkansas, now. So did Cash Courtney, decommitting from Baylor in October and now announcing his commitment to Arkansas. Chose the Razorbacks not only over Baylor, but over Texas Tech, Houston, West Virginia, Duke, and others. A consensus 3-star recruit, the 9th pledge for Arkansas in the class of 2025.
The Georgia Bulldogs.
Well, this is no surprise, but Charlie Condon won the Dick Hauser Trophy as nation's top player. It's one of two, obviously, nation's top player awards, the Golden Spikes being the other one. He's the first Georgia player in program history to win the Dick Hauser. Gordon Beckham was a finalist back in 2008. Led the NCAA in batting average at .433 and with 37 homers. 78 RBI, completes the slash line there. He also led the nation in slugging percentage at 1.009. SEC Player of the Year. Played third base, first base, all three outfield positions. He's going to be the number 1 overall pick in the country in the draft in July and probably going to win the Golden Spike. So congrats to Charlie Condon.
The Florida Gators.
And Florida infielder Sammy Mumau, entered the transfer portal today. Of course, one day before Florida begins their stay in Omaha. So his freshman season over. He did not appear for Florida in 2024. That is around the SEC. This is After Further Review on a Friday, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar. Due for a break here, but do want to get a little update from Omaha. It's been a great game so far to open up the 2024 College World Series. Virginia and North Carolina, they are tied at 2 in the top of the 8th inning. Virginia took a 2-1 lead in the 6th. They had runners at 2nd and 3rd. Were only able to push across 1 and take that lead 2-1. North Carolina answered back in the 7th inning. It was a RBI double from Cook to drive in the tying run. So that's where they stand now. Thinking back, Virginia, long fly ball, that's going to be an out. Thinking back to our picks yesterday with Mincy. Mincy liked North Carolina in this game, but ended up taking the under, which is looking fantastic. That was at 12, if I recall. So you got 4 runs on the board in the 8th inning. That looks just like, money in the bank at the moment, but it's college baseball. Anything can obviously happen. I went with Virginia on the money line. Liked the Hoos in this matchup. They took the regular season series from North Carolina. Thought they might have an opportunity here too. And this is also a fantastic uniform matchup, I might add. Virginia, to me, is one of the more intriguing teams in this year's College World Series because they have the Omaha pedigree. They were in Omaha last year. They've been to Omaha 3 of the last 4 years now, including this trip. And I think the Omaha pedigree matters. I think that is a massive advantage. The other reason I say they're interesting is if you think back to last year's College World Series, Virginia had a really sneaky good team that I thought could have made a deep run, as evidenced by the fact that they had Florida, the team that was the national runner-up, they had Florida beat in the opener. Multiple run lead late in the game, had them beat. It starts to kind of go off the rails. They have their closer warming up in the bullpen for not just getting hot quick. He was plenty warm. I think he had 9 saves or something like that on the year. And Brian O'Connor refused to put him in the ball game. And then Wyatt Langford hit a ball 500 feet and Florida won. And sent Virginia to the losers bracket. And it was just really tough for them to overcome. But they had the team that finished national runner-up beat. They have plenty of pieces back from that. Said closer from last year is now in their starting rotation. Virginia is a very interesting team to watch in this year's College World Series because I think that they could. They get past North Carolina here, and obviously they've shown they can beat them already this season. You could be looking at a Virginia-Tennessee potential matchup, although that's the other interesting thing tonight. We talked about that with Mincy yesterday too. So Tennessee is going to face Florida State. Florida State should be throwing Jamie Arnold tonight, their ace. Tennessee's going with Stamos, the opener, and then they'll put A.J. Causey in the game in the 3rd or 4th inning like they've been doing since LSU went to Knoxville, in the first half of conference play. And that's intriguing to me because Tennessee, obviously a massive offensive ball club. This is not that offensive of a park. Thought maybe you could see them move Drew Beam up into that spot. They didn't. They'll go with the opener. They'll go with what's been working for them. So plenty of intrigue around that ball game tonight for that reason. But Virginia, just keep that in mind. If Virginia can break this tie, they just were retired, so they'll head to the bottom half of the 8th inning now. If Virginia can break this tie and hold on and win the game, they'll have to do it against Dalton Pence, by the way. But if they do that, that could be a team that could make a pretty deep run here in Omaha. A lot of pieces back, good Omaha pedigree, and they don't have to face Florida in their opener this year. Even though, again, like we said, they had them beat. But yeah, go to your closer when you got the chance, and he's warm and he's hot. And he's got like 9 saves. Go to your closer. Just file that. It normally works out. Normally works out. All right, there's your update from Omaha. We'll talk plenty more College World Series throughout the show, especially keep you updated on that game as it continues to go forward. They're heading to the bottom of the 8th, tied at 2 between Virginia and North Carolina. We're going to grab a break, come back on the other side. The Chiefs, they got their Super Bowl rings, but there's a blemish. I want to tell you about it and see if you actually think that it matters. That's next to close out hour number 1 on AFR.
AFR.
We're brought to you by Clegg's Nursery, 4 locations in the greater Baton Rouge area, Siga near Airline, LA 16 in Denham, Mid-City on Donmore, and the Garden Center on Greenwell Springs. Buy local, shop local. Y'all, the weather is gorgeous. Spring is here. The 100-degree temps are around the corner, but not here yet. It's a great opportunity. Get a little exercise. Get a little vitamin D from the sunshine. Get out in your yard and just plant something. Clegg's can make it happen. If you need mulch or soil, they got it. Bag, bulk, no problem. If you need plants or flowers to plant, they got it. Pop a color into those patio pots or your flower beds. Clegg's can help because they have shipments arriving daily. They got a great selection and great prices and the most helpful staff. I can't imagine why you'd go anywhere else. They're convenient because they're strategically located all over town, so you're near a Clegg's no matter where you are in the greater Baton Rouge area. Their prices are great. And their people are the most friendly. Par for the course when you've been doing it for 6 decades. It's Clegg's Nursery. Buy local, shop local. Tell them Matt sent you to Clegg's Nursery.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
after further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar.
Brought to you by Evermore, all natural, great tasting water. When you uncap a bottle of Evermore, that's the first time the product touches air. It's incredible. It's a natural well. It's natural artesian water. It's a well. It's on the North Shore. I went to their bottling facility. When you pull up on the left, you'll see the well is right there. They drill deep into the earth. They pipe it out right into their filters and their filtration system. Nothing is added. Nothing is extracted. It is completely pure from the earth water. So if you want a healthier option, if you want a healthier lifestyle, something healthier for your children, maybe you're an athlete that wants a superior form of hydration, Evermore, EVAMOR. If you notice, go to their website, you'll see Dak Prescott is one of their chief spokespeople. I mean, starting NFL quarterback is vouching for it. Check it out at great local retailers or order on their website at EVAMOR.com, Evermore.com, Evermore.com.
All right, so I love championship rings. Like I kind of geek out on championship rings. They fascinate me. I love the piece that ESPN does every year before the Super Bowl where they look back at like every Super Bowl ring. It's one of my favorite pieces that they do all year. I love the intricacies that teams, or the nods they pay to the season in the ring. Like, you know what I mean? Like like on the Chiefs ring. So that's where we're going with this. The Chiefs got their Super Bowl rings for 2023. And like on one side of it around the top of the ring, there's 22 diamonds, which is symbolic of their second half and overtime points in the Super Bowl. Like those types of little nods that they give to the team. Those things that each captain got the captain C somewhere on their ring. I love that. Probably the coolest one with the Chiefs ring this year. You know how they've been adding like the top of the ring opens, which is really a weird feature to have on a ring, and I don't quite understand it. I really think it's probably just for them to get more, like they can add more features into the ring. So okay, cool, whatever. But I mean, nobody's going to ever walk around with people rarely walk around with these things on their fingers anyway. They're extremely expensive, but no one's going to walk around with like a ring open. Like it's not practical, but whatever. The feature that they added on the inside of the Chiefs ring, though, like when you open the top of it on the, I guess you'd call the bottom of the lid of the ring, they put the final play, that like the game-winning play, but it's etched in there from Andy Reid's handwriting, which I think is just that's really cool. So like the ring itself is gorgeous. It's 505 round diamonds, 19 baguette diamonds, 5 marquee diamonds, 38 custom cut rubies. It is a 14.8 total carats. It's an awesome ring. But there's one problem, or at least some people think it's a problem. On the inside of the ring, like where your finger would go, they have the final score of each game in the playoffs like teams normally do. What the Chiefs did was they added the seed of their opponents, most likely to show that they beat both number one seeds. Like they beat the Ravens in the AFC Championship, and then naturally they beat the Niners in the Super Bowl. What people have noticed as the problem is they got the Dolphins seed wrong. The Dolphins are labeled as the 7th seed. They were, in fact, the 6th seed in the playoffs. People are making a big deal out of this. I'll be quite honest. I don't think it matters. I didn't remember the Dolphins were the 6th seed and not the 7. I couldn't have told you that. And I guarantee you nobody on the Kansas City Chiefs team would have noticed that and probably told you. But now that some people out there did, everyone's trying to kind of clown the Chiefs on it and say it's, it devalues the ring in a sense. I think that's stupid. They have a 14.8 carat Super Bowl ring. They're second in a row, and they have a good chance to get a third. So I don't think it's a big deal. Alondra Paul, would this bother you if you had that type of blemish on your Super Bowl ring? I think they're way worse. Like, what if they misspelled your name or something? Or they got the score of the game wrong? There are way bigger blemishes. Would this bother you?
Sure, there are bigger blemishes, but yeah, it would bother me because the one thing that you have to do is look it up and make sure you have all of the information correct on a ring that's etched like forever.
Even if you didn't know, even if you didn't remember what seed the Dolphins, like if you didn't even notice it, but it was pointed out to you, it would still bother you?
Yeah. No, yes, it would bother me because if I was making the ring, I would have triple checked everything on there and made sure that I had it correct because this is a Super Bowl ring that you can't delete something on the ring. It's etched on there.
Yeah, well, if it's
I guess
on,
it's
if
like
it's on
from a
all of them, you
detail
can't redo all
standpoint
of
and like
them,
do
but-
your job correctly. Yeah, it would bother me.
Okay. See,
Look it up.
I don't think this would bother me. Paul, would it bother you?
It would bother me as well.
God, it's just the seed.
So it's the principle.
Man,
Just knowing that something is wrong on something that important.
Yeah.
That would bother me.
Okay,
It's
but
the
I mean, it's
principle.
gonna sit in a case. Like it's not even gonna be seen. It's on the inside of the ring. It's not like it's on the side of the ring, or like it's just.
It's really easy to look up what seed each team was.
I mean, it is, and I'm sure they did, and maybe they just fat fingered it on the computer. 6 and 7 are right next to each other. It happens. I get what you're saying with checking it, but I don't think it's that big of a deal. Okay, y'all are making me kind of rethink this. I just don't think it's that big of a deal. People are gonna forget about this in 2 months.
Of everything on the ring to get it wrong, that's probably the least important.
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's wrong. It's wrong.
All right.
Yeah.
Well.
Least important for sure, but if it's wrong, it's wrong.
I don't think it matters that much. All right, we're going to grab a break. Go check out the Chiefs ring. It's beautiful. We'll grab a break. We'll come back on the other side. Derek Carr, his great camp. Reason for optimism? We'll talk about it next on AFR.
AFR.
Hey, we're brought to you by Parish Restoration, Mold Zero, Pure Restoration, Parish Restoration. All the same thing. My business partner is Ryan Terrier, Richard Tilley. Had heard me for years talk about Jim Woodworth and Pure Restoration. And so they went and merged, and everything came under the Parish umbrella. So it's still the same patented non-toxic dry fog treatment, kill mold, remove odor, great sanitization process as well. Like a lot of businesses and schools hire Parish Restoration on a retainer to come dry fog every year, like before the school year, for example, to make sure their building is completely sanitized for the kiddos before they come back to school. So it's a great time to do that now during the summer. They do large commercial and industrial jobs. As a matter of fact, Parish Restoration dry fogged a 250,000 square foot building in Louisiana, one of the largest buildings in the state. So it doesn't matter if it's a single family residential home or a gigantic commercial building, they can help. You want to kill mold, remove odor, other harmful pathogens, parishbuilt.com. Hit the restoration tab on the homepage for Parish Restoration.
Bayou Ford has $10,000 off F-150. $10,000 off the new 2024 Ford F-150. And all new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 7-year, 100,000-mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Farming is a way of life for us. It's not something we get up in the morning and dread going do. It's just something we go to bed at night looking forward to getting up to go do. John Deere equipment is what we as farmers strive to have. So it's in your blood, it's in your veins. It's just a part of who you are. Green is what we want to be in. The other tractors were acquired to patch it up to get to where you want to be. Where we want to be is in John Deere. Flip the switch and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our number one product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us online at reliefwindows.com.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Doug Brown. No team has ever swept both the conference finals and the NBA finals in the same year. The Celtics could be the first tonight in Dallas. ESPN's Brian Windhorst.
They have pretty much dominated who's ever been put in front of them. And you can say, well, they're in the Eastern Conference, right? The Eastern Conference, they don't actually play NBA basketball. They're in the minor leagues, right? They are 27-6 against Western Conference teams this year, and you include this series. They are 7-0 on the road in the playoffs.
Brian Windhorst on Carlin versus Joe. Game 4 coverage of the NBA Finals starts at 7:30 Eastern here on ESPN Radio. The game also on ABC. At Pinehurst today, second round of the U.S. Open. Patrick Cantlay and Ludwig Oberg are tied for the lead at 5 under. A one-shot lead over Bryson DeChambeau, Matthew Pavone, and Thomas Dietrich. Tiger Woods on the course right now at 6 over, 2 shots behind the projected cut. The Hurricanes signed defenseman Jalen Chatfield to a 3-year, $9 million extension.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Candy. Coming up Monday, I'll tell you which NFL playoff team I'm most concerned with heading into this season. It's Unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios.
Let's ride.
Hour number 2 of After Further Review off and running here on a Friday, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar. Musso in for Moscona, Alondra Villarreal, and Paul O'Neill along for the ride. 1 hour down, we got 2 more to go. We're going to get into some Saints conversation here momentarily. Ronnie Rants will be in studio with us in the next segment at 4:15. So stick around for everything here to come. They are tied at 2 in the bottom of the 9th. Up there in Omaha, Nebraska, Virginia, and North Carolina. The Tar Heels lead off the bottom of the 9th with a double. So they have a couple chances here now to get the winning run around and walk off yet another team in the postseason. It's kind of become a hallmark of the North Carolina Tar Heels. We'll continue to keep you updated there. All right. One of the big storylines you saw out of Saints mandatory minicamp and parts of OTAs as well was the success that Derek Carr was having early and often in Clint Kubiak's offense. And we talked about this a little bit yesterday with John Hendricks when he was on the show, and why. Because I think it's very easy to look at the success that Derek Carr is having right now early in minicamp and say it's minicamp. Say it's just that. It's hard to find evaluation. There's no contact. You're running 7-on-7 at times, and you go into the team drill, but it's just you can't. What can you actually glean from it? What can you learn? That's always the question that's asked, and always the answer is not much. And when we talked with John Hendricks yesterday, I asked him, I said, what's different this year? Like, what is it about this year? Because Derek Carr was learning a new offense last year in the Saints, with the Saints, and performed pretty well. And then they got off to the start that they did. Why is this different? And the answer that John Hendricks gave is the answer that you've heard many, many, many people give: the comfortability. He just seems more comfortable. It's something that Derek Carr talked about yesterday when he met with the media to end mandatory minicamp. But in that same vein, talking about, sure, he's comfortable and it's exciting. He hadn't forgotten about last year either.
There's still room, and it's just OTAs and minicamp, so there's always room to get better. You know, I got a checklist of things that I still want to fine-tune before training camp, but I feel very comfortable with where I'm at. But that's the problem. You never want to feel comfortable, so I'm going to keep pushing myself and keep grinding. You know, I've had a lot of experience at learning new offenses and just going through that process. So I feel like I'm in a good place, but I got to make sure I stay in a good place.
That's the problem. You never want to be comfortable. He's not hiding his excitement, but he's also telling you, I'm kind of trying to temper my excitement. We were in this spot last year, and you got off to the offensive start that you did. And we had a lot of the same conversations last offseason that we're having this offseason, where this offense fits what Derek Carr wants to do. He's going to be comfortable in it. It's not a steep learning curve. All of those things were said of him coming in for his first year in New Orleans. And then look what happened. All of those same things are being said this offseason, and you're off to a great start. And there's plenty of optimism. I'm here to be the guy to say, be optimistic, by all means, but be cautiously optimistic. And Derek Carr was telling you that himself in that cut. Why I say cautious optimism is this. So, you can look at the numbers that he's put up, and again, we'll hat tip our guy John Hendricks. He charted all this and spoke about some of it with us yesterday. Derek Carr completed 73% of his passes in mandatory minicamp with 3 touchdowns and no interceptions. That's really good. That speaks to the comfortability, doesn't it? It speaks to all of those things. The fast start, everything. There's also the other end of the coin. Or the other side of the coin, I guess I should say. And CBS Sports put out a piece yesterday where they looked at they broke the quarterbacks in the NFL into 3 categories. Most likely to bounce back from injury. You had like Aaron Rodgers, Anthony Richardson, those guys in there, Joe Burrow, all those guys in that. Most likely to improve. Most likely to regress. And I think from a Saints standpoint, being close to it here and reading the reports and looking at it daily and seeing the success that he's having, you could make the argument that Derek Carr should be in that most likely to improve range. He was not. He was in the most likely to regress. And I want to tell you what CBS had to say about him in that as soon as I get to it. They pointed out They broke his season in 2023 into, the first 12 games in the final 5, like everybody's done, because it was great for the final 5 games of the season with Derek Carr. But the reason they have him regressing is looking at the improvement down the stretch and who it was against, strength of schedule, all the conversations that we've had, and then they noted receiving production in New Orleans, that they didn't make any moves to really better the receiving core. Here's my problem with that, and here's where I disagree with the CBS Sports piece. I don't think Derek Carr is going to regress. I don't. I think what you should have had is a category on this where it's most likely to stay the same, and that's where I would put Derek Carr. I think the 2 things that are more likely than him regressing are he's the same guy he was last year, just in 2024 and in Clint Kubiak's offense, or he does improve, or you are seeing something tangible here. And I'll explain. You look at the receiving core as one of their key issues with the New Orleans Saints in this piece. It's virtually the same thing you had last year. I don't really think you would regress off of that. Like Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed, they were your guys. You didn't have a number 3. Alvin Kamara was the 3rd leading receiver on this team. Mike Thomas was injured for the majority of the year again. Well, Kamara looks like he's going to be a better fit in this offense. We've talked about that plenty. So wouldn't that actually strengthen your team? You've heard some great things about Bub Means in training camp. You bring in St. Brown, you bring in Cedric Wilson. They're veterans. I get it. You might not have much there. Can A.T. Perry take a next step? Sure, you didn't go out and have this splashy guy where you have this for sure number 3, but you have the same group and in an offense that he seems to be more comfortable in, that should fit him a little bit more. And we'll get into why with that momentarily too. Why is that the reason you look at it and say he's going to regress? Like, I fundamentally disagree with that. If I was going to find a reason, I'd point to the offensive line. It's the biggest question mark offensively for the Saints. The head coach has come out and said, well, we feel good about 2 out of the 5 spots. Like, that's your big question mark. Can you protect him and keep him healthy and on the field long enough to improve? And I think the answer is yes. And here's why. And it goes into the whole reason why this offense fits Derek Carr. When you look at the end of the regular season last year, those final 5 games, when the Saints went 4-1, when Derek Carr had a 74% completion percentage, not far off from what he just had in mandatory minicamp, when Derek Carr had a 14 touchdown, 2 interception performance over those final 5 games, and a passer rating of 119, what was the thing that the Saints unlocked and you started to see them incorporate more and more into their offense? Play action. Play action, motion, all of those things. All of those things are the hallmark of Clint Kubiak's offense. What that will help, clearly, Derek Carr is a very, very good passer when it comes to play action. You've seen it. But it's also going to help him get the ball out of his hand faster as well. Being able to incorporate Alvin Kamara more, things of that nature. All the motion, having eyes go one way and the ball go the other, all of those things, getting the ball quicker. That's going to, in turn, help the offensive line and help him stay on the field, hopefully, and go forward. So all of that on paper sounds great. All of that on paper sounds great. Now, again, that's where you get back to it's OTAs, it's minicamp. How much of it is tangible? But I can look at all of that and say, yeah, cautious optimism is totally fair. Cautious optimism is totally fair right now for Derek Carr heading into his second year with the Saints. He seems more comfortable. He's telling you that. The offense fits him. All those things. Now, you got a bear of a schedule early on where these questions will be answered rather quickly. But what's going to be key for the Saints there is keeping their head above water when they can hopefully make a little bit of hay in the back half of the season like they did in 2023. Hopefully it's just not too late. The other interesting thing is I don't really know if you need Derek Carr to take this seismic leap. Like, does he really need to go out there and have a career year for the Saints to make the playoffs? No. Does he really need to go out there and have a career year for the Saints to make a run in the playoffs? I still lean no. But you do need a tick up in the production that you had from last season. All signs point to that being being the trend early here in the offseason through mandatory minicamp and OTAs. I'm not telling you Derek Carr is going to go out there and be a top 10 quarterback in the NFL, because I don't think that he will be. But I think cautious optimism is very, very fair is a very, very fair way to approach what you've seen so far in the offseason from Derek Carr. We'll see. We'll see. They report training camp in 5-6 weeks or so here. So it'll certainly be interesting to see if he can carry it over, but it's a great start so far. All right, we're going to grab a break. Come back on the other side. Ronnie Rants is going to join us in studio. It's gone final in the College World Series. North Carolina walks off Virginia, so they move to the winner's bracket, and Virginia moves to the loser's bracket. Tennessee, Florida State, your next game on tap. We'll talk some CWS with Ronnie. We'll talk some Rougarou, some LSU baseball, as well, as it's been an interesting offseason so far for the Tigers. All of that next on AFR, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar.
AFR.
If you're a business owner, you're going through the hiring rat race, and it's just been tough, especially since COVID. It's been that way for a lot of businesses in basically every different industry. Finding qualified people that can or want to work that will stay. If you've had those issues, you need Glow Resources. Glow Resources is not a last resort. They're not a temp staffing agency. Glow Resources works for you, the business owner. And they want to grow that relationship to where you have longevity with them. At Glow Resources, when they place one of their employees within your company, they have a 93% retention rate. And if for whatever reason the employee that they hire for you doesn't work out within 60 days, they'll find you a new employee for free or give you a prorated refund. It's Glow Resources. GLO, glowresources.com.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs, even in the case of an after-hours emergency. The light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our #1 product is always customer.
You need cooling, baby, I'm not fooling.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar.
For the last 3.5 years, I've told you, do business with someone you know. And that's still the case. It's just we've got a new company. It's Parrish Construction and Roofing. But it's all still the same people. It's me, it's Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley and Joe Morales, all the way down to Christina in our office, who when you call, that's who you talk to, and the same friendly crews that come actually do the work at your home. It's our same team. We just started a new company, Parrish Construction and Roofing. You can give us a shout. We even have the same number, 364-1007, 364-1007, or parrishbuilt.com, parrishbuilt.com. Roof repairs, roof replacements, from the residential, smallest residential repair to the largest commercial roof replacement. We do it all, and we do it friendly with a smile, and we are here. We are local. We are Parish Construction and Roofing. Do business with someone you know. ParishBuilt.com. That's ParishBuilt.com.
So earlier this week, it was Wednesday, actually, I think, we had Pat McAvoy on the show from Rocco's up in Omaha. Of course, Jello shot challenge is going on. Of course, LSU absolutely dominated that last year. We all know that. And Rocco's partnered with the Greater Baton Rouge Food Bank, and this was what Rocco's Pat, as we were calling him, came on to the show to really talk to us about and explain the the concept behind it and how to get involved and things of that nature. So what Rocco's did on their Twitter page, the Jello Shot Twitter page, they had a QR code that would take you to the Baton Rouge Food Bank, and you could you could donate there since LSU's not in Omaha and couldn't go buy Jello shots this year. And they said they would update and keep count and all of those things of donations. They just posted an update. Did the Rocco's College World Series Jello Shot Challenge Twitter page at CWS Shot Board. At the last count, LSU baseball fans had donated $3,380 to the Baton Rouge Food Bank, which would be the equivalent of 676 Jello shots, if anyone was tracking that sort of thing, they added. And then they mentioned that they have a saying that Rocco's, run the numbers up and you won't have to run your mouth. That's awesome. Like that is incredible that without LSU fans even being there, to be able to garner that much support and donate that type of money to help something like the Greater Baton Rouge Food Bank, that is that's a really cool thing. And I obviously like seeing the equivalent of what it would be in shots. And I mean, at their last update, at Rocco's last update of their Jello shot board, which was 4 hours ago, they'll have one in 30 or so minutes, a little bit more than that, 39 minutes. So the next one will be at 5 p.m. But at their last update, North Carolina was in the lead at 506. And LSU fans who aren't even there and allowed to buy shots were at 676. So, look, I mean, no one's really surprised there. I don't think that LSU would, kind of still be winning that. But the important thing is that everyone's raising that much money for charity. So, again, if you want to donate, you want to participate in that, Rocco's, they had the link is in that tweet of the update. So that's obviously the easiest way to do that. But they also did, and I believe it's still on their Twitter account, the QR code, if you wanted to say, scan that. So, and do it that way. But $3,300 and then some already donated by LSU fans to the Greater Baton Rouge Food Bank, which keeps in connection with, just the Rocco's Challenge in general, because what they do is the team's final total of Jello shots, they donate that in dollar amount. Like, LSU had 68,888 last year or whatnot. They donated that much money to the campus food bank over at LSU. So this time doing it with the Greater Baton Rouge Food Bank, and solid number put up. LSU's winning a Jello shot challenge that they can't even actually participate in. Is that not the most LSU thing? The most LSU thing ever. So, and keep with the little College World Series talk. We mentioned it kind of right there at the break. North Carolina walks off Virginia. 3-2 was your final score. We had told you about the leadoff double that was hit to start the ninth. It was a bunt to get the runner over to third base. You had one out and runner at third. The next hitter, the 9-hole hitter, Wilkerson, popped up to the catcher and was retired, and that brought up Vance Honeycutt, who promptly singled and scored the winning run and walked it off. So North Carolina is into the winner's bracket. Virginia falls into the loser's bracket. Tennessee and Florida State are next here in Omaha at 6 p.m. Central Time. Interesting decision that we could obviously talk about there. Do you pitch to Vance Honeycutt, obviously in that spot? And it's funny, we were just talking about the end of the game last year for Virginia in the opener when they decided to not go to their closer, and then Wyatt Langford hit a ball into orbit, and Florida would complete a multiple run comeback to win that ball game. The Honeycutt stuff is, I mean, we had plenty of conversations about that. Obviously, when LSU was facing them, and he, just in the Marble game, had a field day against LSU. And, could you have prevented some of that? First base is open there. I mean, I'm a very big believer of not letting the best player on the other team beat you. And Virginia just did that with first base open. Like they just let the best player, not only on the team, in program history over there at North Carolina, beat them in the College World Series. And I think that stinks. Like I have a problem with that. I get it. Cook's the guy who hit the double that tied the ball game up. Like totally understand all of that. And he's really good. The top of that order is really good with Honeycutt, Cook, and you have Parks Harbor and Anthony D'Onofrio's right there, in the 4-hole, and they can alternate right, left. Like it's a great top of the lineup. But first base is open. I'd sleep. You're not going to sleep well anyway because you lost. I'd sleep better, though, knowing that Vance Honeycutt wasn't the one who beat me. Guess Virginia didn't see it that way, and Honeycutt walks it off. So he's a great player. And, it's a really, really good team. The thing that continually impresses me about North Carolina, and you've seen it on display throughout this postseason, their ability to get the clutch hit. Just the timely clutch hit over and over and over again to come up with that. And when you have the back end of the bullpen that team does with Dalton Pence and Matty Mateus and and Matt Poston and Ben Peterson, all those guys, they're going to keep you in every game. And they'll just wait for you to come up with a timely hit. And it's been a really good recipe for success, obviously, for North Carolina here so far throughout the early part throughout the postseason, I should say. They're not in the early part. They're actually in the late part. So North Carolina moves on to the winner's bracket. Tennessee, Florida State, your nightcap in Omaha. All right, we're going to grab a break. We will come back on the other side of that break, and should be joined by Ronnie Rants in studio next here on AFR.
AFR.
Man, we have been thrilled to be partnered with Rouse's. Rouse's is the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. Of course, they wish the Saints good luck tonight. Who dat, as always. But remember, Rouse's, a great family-owned business that has grown to almost unimaginable heights as they've expanded here. They've been in business for 100 years, been helping you make groceries for 60 of those years. It's a great opportunity, man, to get by Rouse's for whatever it is you're looking for. You want to swing by, pick up dinner tonight for the family? Rouse's. Everybody wants something different? No worries. If you want, fried chicken and French fries, they got it. If you want sushi, they got it. If you want a grab and go, sort of Asian bowl, like I love their teriyaki, their chicken and beef fried rice teriyaki bowls. They're awesome. You want to buy something there at the seafood market, you can do it at Rouse's. Throw a tuna steak on the grill at the house, whatever it is. You want to get some ice cold beer, some fine and fun wines, they got it at Rouse's. The official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints, Rouse's. This feels like home.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Bayou Ford has $10,000 off F-150. $10,000 off the new 2024 Ford F-150. And all new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 7-year, 100,000-mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated.
Hey, mama said the way you move gonna make you sweat, gonna make you groove.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar.
We're brought to you by First South Farm Credit. Go to firstsouthland.com. If you're thinking of buying land, go to firstsouthland.com. They're the best. First South Farm Credit. They've been in business since 1916. You've heard our buddy Ben McDonald talk about his experience. Ben's got some hunting property in Mississippi. Finance that land through First South Farm Credit. It doesn't matter if you live in Houma and you want to buy land in Mississippi, or if you live in Baton Rouge and you want to buy land in Zachary, if you live in Monroe and you want to buy land in Alexandria, or wherever it may be, in Louisiana or any of the 48 contiguous states, First South Farm Credit can help you buy land. That recreational property, maybe your hunting property, if it's the property to build your dream home, or if it's 1,000 acres for agriculture, First South Farm Credit should be your first call. Go to the website at firstsouthland.com. That's firstsouthland.com. One more time, firstsouthland.com.
All right, back here on a Friday edition of AFR. Musso in for Moscona. Joined now by former Tiger pitcher Ronnie Rants, of course, Baton Rouge Rougarou owner as well. We're going to talk plenty about the Rougarou here, but do have some other things I want to get Ronnie's thoughts on as well. Ronnie, great to talk to you, man. How are you?
What's going on there, Moose? Sitting in the big chair, man. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, look, we're just trying to keep the train on the tracks, Ronnie. We're trying to not burn anything down. We're trying to make sure Moscona still has a show to come back to on Monday. I think so far, I think we've done
I love the idea of sitting in the big chair. So that, do you remember the chairs when they used to fall?
Yes.
And they did that for like 6 years.
Yes.
No one would ever get a new chair, and now y'all got new chairs. I'm just so excited for you.
Yes, I mean it's a much more comfortable experience doing the show when you don't just sink in your chair. It's incredible. All right, Ronnie, let's. I would love some thoughts on LSU baseball's offseason here as we push off the dock here, because you've obviously seen a lot of turnover from this roster, and you're going to see more in the draft and things of that nature. But they have brought in 3 commitments out of the transfer portal with more to come. What have you made so far of what Jay Johnson's accomplished so far here early in June?
Well, clearly he was impressed with Wofford. I mean, there's no doubt about that. He's over there in the dugout going, wow, we need these guys. And look, I mean, I guess if you're going to go in the portal and you're going to get some players, you might as well get players you've played against and seen up close and personal on video and in person, and that's what he did. But the young man from Indiana State, Hernandez, I mean, wow, that on paper. Now, look, we thought a little bit of wow about Bingham last year. Guy hit 365, 90-something hits, double-digit homers, all that. And you thought, okay, veteran hitter, Arizona, Pac-12, this guy's going to come in, not miss a beat, and it was a struggle. So it's not a lock that it's going to work. But the thing that I'm encouraged about is veteran hitter, and he's got 23 home runs, which you don't just accidentally hit 23 home runs. I mean, 23 home runs in any league is a lot of homers. So even though, it's not the SEC. No, I get that. But he's got real power. Think about how cold it is in Indiana, right? And so 23 home runs, high average, guy's been in college a while. Like, that's all the makeup of a good signee.
Something that's always interesting, too, in an offseason is draft-eligible sophomores. And LSU has two in Jared Jones. Well, they have more than two, but they have two in Jared Jones and Griffin Herring who look like they have pretty interesting decisions to make. Is there one of those guys that you think could improve his stock more than the other by returning?
Who was the other one other than Jones you mentioned?
Griffin Herring.
Yeah. Listen, maybe Griffin Herring. I think, I'm a giant Jared Jones fan. I was a big Jared Jones fan last year. I mean, he hit 10 homers and they pretty much didn't play, the last month and a half of the season. And so I really think that he's going to, I think people are going to like him. I think that he's going to go high. Like, in my mind, now you're going to have to pay him a lot because you know that he's going to be a sophomore and he's got mega leverage. But the reality is that I think Jared Jones is a second-round pick, because the power is real. He is a baby. He's only a second year of college. Look at the improvement he made from year 1 to year 2, laying off the bad stuff. As a hitter, he showed maturity with that. And so just to think how much better he's going to be and his future, I'm a huge Jared Jones fan. I think there's going to be somebody else there that's going to pop him, and I think if he goes in the second round, it's going to be too much money. Griffin Herring is a little different, right? Because everybody nowadays throws so hard. Everybody throws 95. And he doesn't. His pitches, he's got one of the best sliders in the game. But how about do they value that? And so, and Griffin Herring, and I don't know Griffin Herring, his personal opinion. I've met the kid a number of times. He's a wonderful guy. He's just a tremendous class act type of kid. But I think Griffin Herring had as great a year. Can it be better? Is he truly a starter? Is he really a guy that can go out there and get you 6, 7 every time? I think he had a pretty good year. If he's a top 3 round draft pick, I would encourage him to go. I don't think Griffin Herring's a first rounder in the making. I think he's a second, third round at the highest level.
What about any remaining kind of like what you would want to see them kind of go grab out of the portal a little bit more? Because the way I've kind of looked at it, I'm like, man, they're addressing needs here early. Like, you look at a guy like Zach Cohen, could he end up being in your starting rotation? Okay, you need potentially somebody there. They go get the guy Chandler Dorsey from UCF, who's a stud closer. Well, LSU struggled closing out games this season. Could that immediately make you better? You're losing potentially Jared Jones. You are losing Tommy White. You go get Luis Hernandez with the power. What other direction could you see them going this offseason here as they continue to, entertain?
Well, if you have the opportunity, and again, I haven't studied the portal to know what's out there from a standpoint of the 5,000 players that are in the portal still. But my question would be, do you believe there's a middle infielder that is a tried and true player, that you think might be better than what you have? The thing about it is that there's a situation where you've got, the risk reward. You got players that are on your team that you think are going to be good, that are prospects. You like their skill set. But do you want a young pup who you think is going to be a player, or do you want to go find a guy that has got a couple skins on the wall and has done it, even if it's at a mid-major level? And that's always the tricky part. And I'm of the belief, like a lot of coaches, you go get the tried and true guy probably gives you a safer bet.
So there was other news around LSU baseball in a sense, but really the SEC, and that was Paul Mainieri taking the South Carolina job. Ronnie, you obviously know Coach Mainieri very well, being around the program for all of his stint here in Baton Rouge. What did you make of that whole move? Honestly, with Paul coming out of retirement to take the job in South Carolina, making him the coach.
Shocked. I was shocked. Didn't see it coming. I was with Coach Mainieri last, I think Wednesday it was, week and a half ago, at the Country Club of Louisiana for Louisiana Golf Association banquet for the Louisiana Amateur Tournament. The night before the tournament, they had a banquet. He was the guest speaker. A friend of mine was receiving a Distinguished Service Award. And we sat together, talked, and, I don't know that he knew. He didn't know. It was a weekend thing. So it came out of nowhere. I was shocked by it. I'm surprised by it because in this day and age, with the transfer portal and everything, it seems like it's a young man's game. It seems like Coach Mainieri, and I know he said this before publicly, that, he kind of felt like he got out at the right time before the portal, before the NIL and everything. And so he's going to have to learn on the fly. And I know he's bringing in guys that have done it in systems elsewhere and are familiar with it, but this is a whole new landscape of what he's getting back into than what he left.
And it's at a place in South Carolina that has plenty of history and tradition, but they haven't been to Omaha in well over a decade. They haven't really competed at the top of the SEC in that same amount of time frame. I look at it and I go, man, look, I know Paul can go there and win. Like, the guys, he can win. He hadn't forgotten how to coach and win baseball games. But I just wonder if he can win at a higher clip than South Carolina already is, given all the things around that job that have kind of hampered it lately in the conference.
Look, at the end of the day, everybody in the SEC can win games. It's all about, can you get to Omaha?
Yeah.
And you know, South Carolina had back-to-back national championships 15 years ago. That's their expectation. You know, their expectation is not as far off as LSU fans is, right? I mean, imagine LSU fans if they hadn't gone to Omaha in 10 years. Like,
yeah.
You know, and so my point is that they have that expectation too. Mark, you know, Kingston over there 7 years, he won some, but he didn't win. He didn't go to Omaha, and so that's the expectation. And so it doesn't matter. Look at Florida. It doesn't matter what your wins and losses are. Who cares if you won 40 games? Did you go to Omaha? You know, 40 games is great for a sports information director to write in a media guide, or for some stat to say, hey, he's won 40 games 15 years in a row. Nobody cares anymore. Did you go to Omaha? And then the next thing is, if you win a national championship, you better do it again sometime. But that's all it is for him. And at this phase in his career, he doesn't care about any more wins. He's got over 1,500 wins. He cares about trying to find a way to get to Omaha or win a national championship. You know, Ron Polk took two teams in the SEC to, Georgia and Mississippi State to Omaha. I don't know if anyone else has done that. Quick thought. I don't think anyone else has done that. Maybe John Cohen didn't take Kentucky. So yeah, I think Polk's the only one that has done that.
It's going to be fascinating to watch Coach Maneri up there in Columbia and see kind of what he can do with that program. And look, he'll see LSU up there in Columbia in 2025. Ronnie, before we get to the Rougarou, you mentioned Omaha a few times there. North Carolina walks off Virginia. They win the first game of the College World Series in 2024. Who do you like to take home the crown this year?
Well, I'm going to stay with my message for the last couple of weeks, and that's Tennessee. I know that's not, the smart choice based on the odds, being that number one seed hadn't won it since '99. But Miami did it with a hitting coach by the name of Turtle Thomas. But I just think Tennessee's the best team, and I think they're battle tested. I think they have a chip on their shoulder. I think there's something to be said about going to Omaha with a chip on your shoulder and not just happy to be there. Even though Kentucky's really good, I mean, if they lose 0-2, they're still going to be happy. Yeah. If Tennessee goes 0-2, they're going to be pissed off because they've been really good the last 3 years. Now it's time for them to win in Omaha. They've gotten a little taste of winning. They just want to win the whole thing. I think they're the best team, but it doesn't mean they'll win it.
All right, so Summer League Baseball underway, obviously. Got some great Summer League Baseball right here in Baton Rouge with the Rougarou. The Rougar at home for 4 games in 6 days, including tonight, right, Ronnie?
7 o'clock, the Rougarou are in action at home against the Lake Charles Gumbo Gators. And
that's a fantastic mascot.
I know, it's awesome. And
that's
then tonight it's Raising Cane's Bark at the Park. Kane 3, the dog's going to be out here, going to be running out the first pitch. He's going to put it in the ball in the mouth, going to run it from home plate, put the pitch down to the home plate. You're going to be giving them a meet Kane. Bring your dog, get in free. We're going to parade all the dogs in the middle of the first inning behind home plate. We're going to have contests for prettiest, most well-behaved, and ugliest dog as well, Musso. And so come on out tonight. And then, oh, by the way, once the dogs leave, 7th inning stretch, how about a little Jerry Lane fireworks show, 5-minute fireworks show during the middle of the 7th inning stretch, and it's well done. So come check it out tonight.
You gotta love a good fireworks show. Fireworks shows in baseball, it just kind of goes together. I mean, it's right. Hand in hand. You know, you mentioned the Raising Cane's Bark at the Park. Ronnie, what is this that I hear about you running the bases after the game for some Canes?
So every home game, the Rougarou during the bottom of the 4th, bottom of the 5th, or bottom of the 4th, bottom of the 5th, I can't remember which. In the middle of the game, we let all the kids in the ballpark run the bases. They line up behind the first base dugout. We let them onto the field in between innings. They run the bases with our mascot, Roo. And when they go through to the other side, on the other end of the field into our kids zone, where we have inflatables and all that stuff, we give them all a Raising Cane's gift certificate. take a big picture with our mascot, and we post it every game. Well, the last couple times, yours truly ran out there with the kids, and you know what? They messed up and handed me a gift certificate, so now I'm doing it every night.
I don't blame you. I'm sitting here thinking, I mean, hey, I'm not ashamed to go out there and get a little run on for some Canes. So we got 4 home games in 6 days coming up for the Baton Rouge Rougar. Are they all against Lake Charles?
They are not. We do play Lake Charles on Sunday night on Father's Day. By the way, any fathers that bring their sons or daughters to the game, you get to go on the field, play catch with the Rougarou before the game. That's a pretty cool moment. That's Sunday night at 7. And then we've got home games Tuesday and Wednesday as well.
Y'all get out to Goldsby Field, man. Y'all go see the Rougarou. It's a lot of fun. They do a great job, obviously, there. And, hey, go run the bases and get Canes. You know what? You said that on the radio now. You're going to have adults probably trying to sneak out there as well and follow your lead, Ronnie, and try to get the Canes certificate.
Listen, I don't tell Todd Graves, but if we might allow it tonight. We might allow it tonight for adults.
Ronnie Rants, of course, former LSU pitcher, Baton Rouge Rougarou. Again, y'all get out to Goldsby Field. Ronnie, we appreciate the time. Sports Shorts Radio this Saturday as well?
Yeah, yes. Tomorrow morning, 10 to noon. Me, Tommy Christ, and Hunter McCann will be live over at Bruley Walk-On, so check us out right here on 104.5.
Absolutely. Ronnie, we appreciate the time, man.
Thank you, buddy.
Always. That is Ronnie Rants. Y'all seriously get out there, man. Rougarou. It's a lot of fun. A lot of fun times. I kind of want to go run the bases and get Canes. Get Canes gift certificates for that. You're shaking your head over there at me, Alondra. You're gonna act like you wouldn't do that. I would totally do that.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I'd do it. Heartbeat.
You think so?
Yeah. Of course,
You would look super childish. Like, I bet Ronnie looked just so silly.
So the funny thing about that is Ronnie's a big guy.
Yes.
I'm not. So, yes, I would look childish in multiple ways.
I just think any grown man running bases to get Canes looks silly.
I think
More
it's
power
a great
to
idea.
you.
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, but it's for the kids. It's not for the adults.
Yeah, but I'm a kid at heart.
I guess.
Right? That's what they say. They say that matters.
Sure.
And I'm a kid at heart.
Yeah.
And I love Canes.
All right. I love Canes too. But I love it so much I'm going to pay for it.
Yeah, I love free things. All right. We're going to grab a break. Come back on the other side. Tigers and the Pros closes out hour number 2 of AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by Action Industries. Maintenance managers, turnaround coordinators. Looking to hire someone to come do work in your plant, in your refinery. You get that proposal across your desk from Action Industries. Make sure you take a long, hard look. Because my friends over at Action Industries are just awesome. They're awesome people, and they're a great local business that's been serving our community since 1982. So 42 years. Listen, there are some enormous industrial contractors. They're great companies, great businesses. But do you ever feel like your 100-person job isn't the most important thing to that mega company, that mega contractor? Well, with Action Industries, you would be their number one priority. You are getting all of their best people. And Action Industries, their safety record beats the industry standard. And look, the quality of their work is why they keep getting hired time and time again for into 5 decades now. It's Action Industries. Check them out online. Action Industries, proud partner of LSU Athletics.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is taking $20,000 off new 23 Ram 1500 trucks. We're open for business in our beautiful new showroom and taking $20,000 off the powerful Ram truck. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 7-year, 100,000-mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Farming is a way of life for us. It's not something we get up in the morning and dread going do. It's just something we go to bed at night looking forward to getting up to go do. John Deere equipment is what we as farmers strive to have. It's in your blood, it's in your veins. It's just a part of who you are. Green is what we want to be in. The other tractors were acquired to patch it up to get to where you want to be. Where we want to be is in John Deere. Flip the switch and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar.
Brought to you by South Point Volkswagen. SouthPointVW.com. Y'all, it is a great time right now to get on by South Point Volkswagen, especially if you have if you're looking for a new vehicle, want to get the best deal for your trade-in. Right now, the trade-in and trade-up event going on at South Point Volkswagen. They have amazing deals. You can drive away in a Taos right now, the compact SUV, 0% for 60 months right now at South Point Volkswagen. Airline just north of Highland, southpointvw.com. Also great deals on Atlas and Crossport. They want your certified pre-owned vehicles, so get on by and trade them in at South Point Volkswagen.
All right, back here, wrapping up hour number 2 of After Further Review. We will do so with Tigers in the Pros.
Tigers in the Pros. They still bleed purple and gold. They're just really rich now.
All right, start with Major League Baseball. Gave you the preview of it yesterday on the show. Aaron Nola was facing the Boston Red Sox. It did not go well for Aaron Nola. It went very well for the Boston Red Sox. Aaron Nola yesterday, 3 2/3, 11 hits, 8 earned against Boston. They got him up to 90 pitches and out of the game in the 4th inning. He took the loss, but it's still been a great year for Nola, and he'll look to bounce back here as they head towards the Midsummer Classic. 8-3 on the year with a 3.48 earned run average. Josh Smith last night turned in a fantastic effort for the Rangers, 2 for 3, his 16th double of the season. The average is up to 295. He did score a run. 295, 16 doubles. Look, Smith, he might end up being a dark horse. Maybe win that fan vote potentially or something and find his way to the All-Star game. I would absolutely love to see that. Tonight in Major League Baseball, Kevin Gausman on the bump for the Toronto Blue Jays, taking to the mound, looking for win number 6 on the year. He's got the ERA in check down to 4 on the year, 69 strikeouts in 69 2/3 innings, so right at about a strikeout per inning. Continues to just pound the zone there, the 8 walks. He's facing the Cleveland Guardians, looking for win number 6. Minor League Baseball. Eric Raiselman. Eric Raiselman gets the call up to High A Baseball. Remember, he's in the Yankees organization, so now at the Hudson Valley Renegades. Made his debut. 2 shutout innings, 4 strikeouts. Really, it was 2 perfect innings. No hits, no walks, and the 4 strikeouts. Throwing 97, 98 gas like he did at LSU. Great to see with Raiselman moving on up there in the ranks with the Yankees. We'll continue to keep you posted as he continues to move up through the ranks. Angel Reese on the floor with the Chicago Sky in her most recent game. Another double-double for Angel. 20 points, 10 boards, shot 80% from the floor, did Angel Reese. A perfect 4 for 4 from the free throw line. continuing to get in foul trouble, though, in the WNBA. Her and the Chicago Sky, they're back on the floor again tonight. So we'll have you an update, of course, when we get back here on Sunday with Angel Reese. And, I forgot about the U.S. Open. I did not look up Sam Burns. Excuse me while I do that real quick. Sam Burns, really solid day over at Pinehurst, number 2 so far. He's got himself well inside the cut line. Sam sits at even par overall on the tournament, so he's 3 under so far today through 16 holes, making most of his hay actually on the back 9. 3 birdies on the back 9 to go along with the 1 birdie. So at even par has him 6 shots off the lead of Ludwig Oberg, who's currently in at 6 under par. But Burns is around for the weekend, and it's the U.S. Open, man. That course is going to continue to play really tough. Things could get out of hand, and who knows, Oberg and others could come back to the field, especially if Sam continues to play some good golf. We'll update you on how he finished here on Monday. That is Tigers in the Pros. Just about going to put a button here on hour number 2 of After Further Review. Friday shows brought to you by Don Juan Cigar Bar. Musso filling in for Moscona. Scone is back in the saddle on Monday. Programming update for you there as well. We were supposed to have Zach Cohen, former Wofford pitcher, now LSU pitcher, Zach Cohen, on the show with us today. Zach had something come up. He had to move to next week. So we will have Zach Cohen next Tuesday on AFR. So, set a reminder and be here for that. Disappointed we couldn't get him on today, but he was, definitely wanted to come on the show and said, hey, man, can we do it Tuesday? Absolutely. So we'll have Zach Cohen with us on Tuesday. Grab a break here. Head into hour number 3. Sports Center for national headlines. And then when we come back, the Saints got some good injury news out of minicamp, aside from the bad injury news they got with Juwan Johnson. We'll tell you about that next. Hour 3 of AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. When we talk about Relief Windows every day, I always say windows, doors, siding. And now shutters as well. They do your indoor shutters. Same thing as the windows. Custom made, measured to fit your windows, custom fit for your windows, lifetime warranty on your windows, your shutters. But Brandon, you often hear say their number 1 product is customer satisfaction. And that's not just a catchy line. That's not a cliche phrase. Have an experience with Relief Windows and you'll understand. They go to the ends of the earth to make sure their customers are thrilled with the work they do. As a matter of fact, Relief Windows never takes $1 from you. You will not, no deposit, no down payment. They take all the risk. They will not take $1 until you're thrilled with the work they do. Who else does that? Only Relief Windows. Check them out online at ReliefWindows.com.
When things heat up, you don't just want a cold one. You want the coldest one. The cold lagered, cold filtered, cold packaged one. Mountain Cold Refreshment. Coors Light. Choose chill.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana. helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques, Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Doug Brown. The Boston Celtics are one win away from a record 18th NBA title. They've won 10 games in a row, and they lead the Mavericks 3-0. ESPN's Doris Burke wonders if, with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, Boston is also showing the league a new formula for winning.
Two elite wings, the most important position, some would say. Both guys can beat a mismatch. Both guys can get by their defender off the bounce. Both guys can make a three. So they're both three-level scorers. They both guard their positions and are cross-positional defensively at a high level.
Doris Burke on Greeny. Our coverage of Game 4 tonight in Dallas, 7:30 Eastern here on ESPN Radio. The game also on ABC. In the second round of the U.S. Open at Pinehurst, Ludvig Åberg from Sweden is the leader at 6 under, one shot ahead of Patrick Cantlay and Matthew Pavone. Former Illinois forward Coleman Hawkins will transfer to Kansas State. He was considered the best player available, still in the transfer portal.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Commercial Insurance. It flexes to fit your business's needs. From quick repairs to adjustable coverages and even payment options, Progressive Commercial makes it easy to get what you need. Quote today in as little as 6 minutes at progressivecommercial.com.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios.
That's right.
Final hour. After further review here on a Friday, we are off and running. Musso in for Moscona. Alondra Villarreal, Paul O'Neill along for the ride as well. 2 hours down. One more to go. We'll send you into Father's Day weekend. Got plenty to get to. Going to get to a mock draft, Major League Baseball mock draft here in the next segment from CBS Sports. There is a heavy LSU flavor in this thing that we need to go ahead and discuss. Of course, there was a shakeup down on the Pelicans coaching staff that I have a few thoughts on as well that we can get into a little bit later on. But I do want to start again with the New Orleans Saints. So yesterday, obviously, the biggest news out of the end of mandatory minicamp was the injury to Juwan Johnson, and we actually have an update on that we'll get to as well. That was the negative injury news, though, for the New Orleans Saints. The positive injury news that the New Orleans Saints got on Thursday, because they did get positive injury news, deals with Chase Young. So obviously, look, you'll remember back in March, the Saints signed Chase Young to a 1-year, $13 million deal, and it was met with some pretty good fanfare. And then the next day, it came out that Chase Young needed neck surgery. And that was not met with as much fanfare. As you imagine and remember, the Saints were adamant that they knew about the procedure when they signed Chase Young, and it was fine. But what was the timeline going to be? They said, man, you hope you're going to have him available for the regular season, but he's going to probably have to miss some of training camp, things of that nature. kind of similar to the timeline given to Juwan Johnson with the foot surgery. Like, oh, you hope to have him for the opener, at least early in the regular season, but you don't know. It's indefinite. It's very fluid, all those things. That was what it was with Chase Young, and it kind of stunk. Like, actually, no, not kind of. It stunk. Like, it stunk to get that news right after you sign a 25-year-old who was the number 2 overall pick of the draft and has all this upside, and you're looking to get younger on the defense. It was a bummer. Well, Jeremy Fowler reported earlier today that Chase Young had a checkup with neck specialist Dr. Robert Watkins this week and was given a positive report. He will he will undergo more tests in about 6 weeks, but per Jeremy Fowler, Chase Young plans to participate in training camp with the New Orleans Saints. That is a major positive. Now, obviously, look, he's got to go through the rest of those tests. He has to stay on that trajectory, the upward trajectory with the recovery and the rehab and all of that. But to get Chase Young for training camp would be a massive positive for the New Orleans Saints, and that's where he's trending. So I will kind of reiterate what I talked about when they signed Chase Young, because that was a day that I was filling in for Matt. And I get it. You look at his career, and the rookie season was great. He had 7.5 sacks and good number of TFL, all that. Like, it was good. It was something to build on. And you're like, this is going to be the guy that everybody thought it was going to be. Then the injuries happen, and, the production dips as a result. And he ends up last season in 2023 with 2 teams, with the Commanders and the 49ers. But you did see him healthy again last year. And you saw him kind of replicate his rookie season. You saw him get back to that 7.5 sack number. Would you like more? Of course. But you saw him get the production back on track. You saw him stay healthy, at least for the most part, until this neck procedure. But my thing with it always was, okay, it's not often that you can get a 25-year-old player the caliber of Chase Young with the upside, the potential of Chase Young on a 1-year deal at $13 million. That doesn't happen often, where you get that guy on a, for lack of a better term, prove-it deal, where he will have opportunity to come in with the Saints and do just that. And if he does, can you lock him up longer term? Can he actually end up being the future for you at defensive end, with Cam Jordan's career winding down? And you feel good about Carl Granderson, but Isaiah Foskey didn't have a great rookie season. I mean, we all know what happened with Peyton Turner. This is a great opportunity for Chase Young and for the Saints. So to get this, I don't want to call it a clean bill of health, because it's not a clean bill of health yet, but to get this positive report on the neck procedure and him having to go under some through a few more tests, but having him for training camp, that's huge, because that strengthens your hope that you will have him for the start of the regular season and try to get a full season out of him and see if you didn't just find a guy that you want to commit to long term after this 1-year deal is up. So I'm fired up. I look at him and I still see all the potential that everyone saw when he came out of Ohio State and was the number 2 overall pick. So by all means, rooting hard for Chase Young to be a force with the New Orleans Saints and to be there for training camp, for those tests in 6 weeks to go well, and for him to really kind of, hopefully revitalize a Saints pass rush that finished near the bottom of the league in sacks last year in the NFL. The update, switching gears, the update to the Juwan Johnson situation is the Saints have signed a tight end. Jesper Horsted is now a member of the New Orleans Saints. In a corresponding move, they did cut undrafted free agent wide receiver Kyle Sheets out of Slippery Rock. So Jesper Horsted, now a member of the New Orleans Saints. He was part of the trio of tight ends that worked out for the Saints this week in a mandatory minicamp. A 4-year NFL veteran, Horsted was originally signed by the Chicago Bears as an undrafted free agent out of Princeton in 2019. Spent time with Chicago, 41 games, 1 start from 2019 to 2021, and then moved on to the Raiders before he became an unrestricted free agent after this past season. In his career, he's recorded 14 receptions for 131 yards and 3 touchdowns. Also has been a contributor on special teams with 10 tackles. Had a great career at Princeton. 4-year letterman at Princeton. ended his collegiate career as the program's all-time leader in receptions at 196 overall and receiving touchdowns at 28. So he was a force with the ball in his hand in the Ivy League. So you know he has that ability. You just haven't necessarily seen it from an NFL perspective. I'll kind of reiterate a little bit what we talked about with the Saints and the tight end spot from yesterday again. Jesper Horsted, I don't know if this is a guy you really expect to make the team, but he absolutely gives you another body here in training camp. Could he, play well and end up on the practice squad? Sure, that could absolutely happen as well. But what you definitely needed was another body with Juwan Johnson. If you're looking about where the Saints actually go from here without Juwan Johnson, they hope he's ready for September 8th against the Panthers to open the season. But Foster Moreau is still on the roster. He's a guy that absolutely is a force in the blocking game, but Foster's a very underrated wide receiver. He's the most complete tight end the Saints have on the roster right now, and that's going to be the guy who obviously slides in. And then we talked about Dallin Holker, where you just have that unknown. You have that unknown there. You know what he can do with the ball in his hands, and you've seen that in mandatory minicamp and in OTAs. But until they can get pads on him, you don't necessarily know what you have as him in a blocker. But the Saints committed a lot of money to Dallin Holker for an undrafted free agent, $235,000 guaranteed to that guy. You expect him to make the team. You expect him to contribute if that's the case, especially given the success that you have seen from him. So that's two that you have right there. And then you have, you have your practice squad, your a couple practice squad guys as well, and then Taysom Hill. You had the options, and that's why we classified Jimmy Graham yesterday as the wild card, because Graham said, if they need me, I'll play. I'll retire when they tell me to retire. And his row across the Arctic's coming up in the summer, and then he could, right around training camp, but he could get to training camp late. Graham's a veteran, and he's familiar and all that. It made sense if that was the free agent that you would go after. In the end, it's Jesper Horsted. I'm not going to sit here and tell you he's going to make the team, but he's definitely a body for training camp, and it allows you to take a further look even more now at what you have. And look, maybe you find something in that. Again, we went through the receiving stats in college. Guy's got plenty of athleticism, plenty of ability, but feels like a camp body and feels like it allows the Saints to really go forward with what they have already in a guy like Foster Moreau, in a guy like Dallin Holker, Taysom Hill, and others there for the New Orleans Saints. So I think that's the direction that they go. I think that was the direction that they probably were going to go in general, and it looks like that's what they are doing. So Saints do sign Jesper Horsted, tight end, free agent tight end who worked out with them earlier in the week, undrafted free agent out of Princeton, spent time with the Bears and the Raiders. They cut undrafted rookie Kyle Sheets, wide receiver, out of Slippery Rock. All right, we're going to grab a break, come back on the other side. Rolling along here, hour number 3 of AFR Friday show presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar. Talk some MLB draft next on AFR.
AFR.
Get Gordon and get it done. Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. You've been injured in an accident. It's not your fault. Do what injured people in our state have done for more than 30 years. Call Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. Just dial the 8s. It was funny. Your last hour, we had Pat McAvoy here from Rocco's, the Jello Shot Challenge. Of course, last year, Gordon went super viral when he bought 8,888 Jello shots. Of course, if you're calling Gordon, you're calling the 8s. 888-8888. 888-8888. You can always go to getgordon.com. Gordon's done a great job, man, supporting not only student athletes through his many different NIL initiatives with the G team, but I love how much Gordon gives back. Gordon Gives, the website gordongives.com, you can read about all the initiatives, the charitable initiatives that Gordon and his team are involved in to make our communities a better place. It's one of the great things that I love to be a part of the G team as well, because of the many, many ways Gordon supports the community. So go to getgordon.com, getgordon.com. You know what to do. Get Gordon and get it done.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is taking $20,000 off new 23 Ram 1500 trucks. We're open for business in our beautiful new showroom and taking $20,000 off the powerful Ram truck. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 7-year, 100,000-mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. Nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Farming is a way of life for us. It's not something we get up in the morning and dread going do. It's just something we go to bed at night looking forward to getting up to go do. John Deere equipment is what we as farmers strive to have. So it's in your blood, it's in your veins. It's just a part of who you are. Green is what we want to be in. The other tractors were acquired to patch it up to get to where you want to be. Where we want to be is in John Deere. Flip the switch and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar.
Always a pleasure to tell you about our friends at the Williamson Eye Center. Check them out online at williamsoneye.com. They've got locations all over the greater Baton Rouge area. On the Baton Rouge General Campus, you turn off a Bluebonnet onto Picardy, you make that right. And then right there at the stop sign, the building on the right, the first 2 floors, that's the Williamson Eye Center. State-of-the-art dry eye center, and it's full service. Of course, they have their state-of-the-art surgery center there where you can have your LASIK or whatever surgical procedure you're having. But they have your standard annual eye exam as well at the Williamson Eye Center. Learn more at williamsoneye.com. The thing I tell you every day is take the advice that I was given and change your life. To give yourself the gift of sight is absolutely incredible. If you're someone like me who spent your life with contacts or glasses, there is a way to be done with it forever. williamsoneye.com. Go see Dr. Blake Williamson for that free consultation. 924-2020, 924-2020, or williamsoneye.com for the Williamson Eye Center.
All right, so the Major League Baseball draft coming up in July. It's always one of the most interesting parts of the college baseball offseason. Like in any sport, the draft is always the interesting part of the offseason. But college baseball is different because obviously the high school recruits are eligible for it. We all know that here, and we go through this this conversation every single year around this time and talk about LSU signing class and things of that nature. It's not necessarily just the players on the current roster that you're looking at, because you have a pretty good feeling about those guys who are going to sign and leave and come back and things of that nature. It's a little different this year for LSU, and you have the number of draft-eligible sophomores that they do, and the ones who are attractive enough already to Major League Baseball, like a Jared Jones, like a Griffin Herring, where you can sit there and talk about their decision as well. CBS Sports released their latest MLB mock draft. It's just the first round, but there's a heavy LSU flavor in it, both signee and current player. The interesting thing that I liked that CBS did with theirs, they included the slot value of each pick, just to kind of give you an idea of what these guys could get. Now, again, another conversation we have every single year with the MLB draft is about the bonus pool and the slot value, and every pick in rounds 1 through 10 has a slot value assigned to it out of the team's bonus pool of money. Now, teams can manipulate that and sign guys over slot, under slot. It's how you can have a guy drafted, in the 12th round end up getting, $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 there because of how teams manipulate their signing pool and their slot and everything of that nature. But it gives you a good basis for what you're looking at. Overall, in the draft, one thing that did surprise me, the Cleveland Guardians, number 1 overall, which, as an aside, Major League Baseball going to a lottery format for their draft, I hate it. I think it's stupid. I get it. They want competitive balance. I think it's dumb. I also forgot they did that. And when I was looking at a mock draft earlier this offseason, I was like, why? Cleveland wasn't the worst team in the league. Why do they have the pick? And then I was reminded of that, and I just hate it. Anyway, that's a random aside tangent. It doesn't actually matter. They're going to make their first pick, whatever. I don't actually care about their baseball team. Anyway, but the interesting thing that caught my eye at number 1 in this draft was it was not Charlie Condon. Travis Bazzana from Oregon State, second baseman. CBS has mocked number 1 overall to Cleveland, which would carry a slot value of $10.5 million. Would he get that? Who knows? Maybe not. It would make him the highest paid player and the highest paid draftee in the history of the draft if he does. Condon went second overall. That's going to be really interesting to see. Travis Bazzana is an incredible player too, especially offensively. It's really sneaky power for his size. I think he hit 28 or 29 home runs, somewhere along those lines this year with Oregon State. Just really one of the best bats and a great player. So it'll be interesting to see between him and Condon. If it was up to me, like if I was making the pick, I'm taking Charlie Condon. But that's just me. And everyone here got an up close and personal look at Travis Bazzana last year when he was in the regional with Oregon State at the box. A couple other notable SEC guys. Hagen Smith was slated to go 5th overall to the White Sox here. Second pitcher off the board. Chase Burns was the first. So Hagen Smith, 5th to the White Sox. Jack Caglione, 6th to the Kansas City Royals. He absolutely could come off the board earlier, probably will, but who knows? In this mock, he's 6th to the Royals. And then you Braden Montgomery, 7th to the Pittsburgh. 9th to the Pittsburgh Pirates. It's interesting there because you talk about a guy with slot value. The injury that he suffered to his ankle probably not going to crush his draft slot, but it might force him to sign under slot. So keep an eye on which team drafts Braden Montgomery for that reason, because they could be a team to watch later who moves money around and things like that, and that could absolutely end up impacting LSU later in the draft. So this has Braden Montgomery 9th to the Pittsburgh Pirates. Now, when you get into the LSU flavor in this draft, it starts at number 10 and it starts in the signing class, and it starts with Connor Griffin, which should not come as a surprise. By now, we're all very familiar with Connor Griffin, infielder/outfielder, Jackson Prep in Mississippi, the top player in LSU's class, arguably the top player in all of high school baseball this cycle. They have him going 10th overall to the Washington Nationals, and CBS calls him arguably the talented and highest ceilinged player here in the draft. And that's something that they obviously love to go from a high school standpoint. That's something the Nationals love to go after. So that is something there. The thing that stands out about him, obviously we've talked about it plenty, is the bat speed. The bat speed is incredible. What's interesting to see, slot value for that pick where they have Connor Griffin slated would be $5.9 million. And he would absolutely not come to campus. I think at this point, everybody's really not expecting Connor Griffin to show up on campus. I don't think this is any surprise. He's mocked in the top 10 in damn near every single one of these drafts that we're going through. The kid is a potential generational talent player that just should quite honestly never see a college campus. Anything can happen. You never say never, but it just gets increasingly more and more unlikely, I think, that you see Connor Griffin at LSU. And that's okay. Like, that's fine. This is a really deep class, but because of that, you're going to have to fight for a lot of guys, but you're going to end up getting guys too, and you're going to be set up pretty nicely. For the next LSU-flavored guy, you go down to 14 at the Chicago Cubs, and that's where you find one of the other ones that you've just seen continually mocked throughout in the top 15 or so picks, and that's left-handed pitcher Cam Caminiti out of Arizona. This will carry a slot value $5 million. So again, he's got big leaguers in his family, obviously, and they CBS calls him, arguably the best pitcher. I should say, hold on, let me find the exact quote. Prep arm. There he is. Arguably the best high school pitcher in the draft class. And they also note his age at 17. Age is always a big thing in the Major League Draft. We talk about that always too. 4-pitch mix already. It's just, they comp him to Max Fried of the Atlanta Braves. That's pretty good. Again, highly unlikely that guy shows up to campus, but I think we've all really assumed that largely, for the majority of the time that we've been looking at this. The next one is William Schmidt, and that's at 19 overall to the New York Mets, and it'd be $4.2 million. And look, William Schmidt's always the interesting one because he's a Baton Rouge guy and has grown up around the program and, would love to play for LSU. And William Schmidt was on the show a week ago today. He was on the show talking with Matt and Ryan and talked about the love that he has for the LSU program and that it has always been a dream and things of that nature to play. But the fact is, the guy just continually improved throughout his high school season and is on the circuit and everything like that. And he's just made an incredible jump to where now he's a projected first rounder, and that slot value would carry $4.2 million. I know what I'd tell him. I'd tell him, take your $4.2 million. Again, you never say never, especially for the guy with Louisiana ties and all those types of things. But that one feels like it's becoming increasingly more and more unlikely. Again, I don't know. These are these guys' decisions to make. I can just tell you, if somebody offered me $4.2 million to do just about anything, I'd probably do it. So, that's where I stand on that. The lone LSU Tiger on the current roster in this draft was Tommy White, all the way down at number 30, the last pick of the first round. Slot value just under $3 million for Tommy. Tommy's going. He's going to sign. I have just been very surprised with where Tommy White has fallen in some of these mock drafts. And I get it. It's mocks, and I'm no scout. I'm never going to claim to be. But, you can't deny the power. The power is absolutely real with Tommy White. Yeah, the chase, that's a thing. Absolutely, 100%. I get those concerns all about. But the thing that I thought would really move him up draft boards was the improved defense at third base this year. Tommy White was awesome at third base this year, and he made numerous major league plays at third base this year in extremely critical moments of the season and games for LSU. He was as consistent as you'll see a college third baseman. To do it at the level that he did, in the league that he did, with the exit velo that was coming at him that he did, I thought that would really move him up. So when I saw him at 30 in this, that surprised me. And they even noted it in their write-up that he's probably, quote, he's probably not a third baseman long-term. And that's surprising to me. And again, like I said, I'm no scout. I'll never claim to be. But, he sure looked like he could stick there. And I think he's going to get his chance to stick there going forward. We'll see. I just thought that would be what would move him up. And instead, Tommy looks like he's fallen down draft boards, which is just really surprising. So, obviously, look, you wish Tommy White all the best. You hope for the guy that he's off the board well before pick 30 and goes off and starts what is a great and long Major League Baseball career. The other guys that obviously aren't mentioned in that, but you're expecting to kind of go, Luke Coleman within the top 50 picks, Gage Jump, kind of the same deal there. Thatcher Hurd is another person that you would expect. All of those guys, along with plenty of signees for LSU, are participating in the Major League Baseball Draft Combine. MLB Pipeline announced that list earlier today. Jared Jones, Griffin Herring, others on the current roster who are also participating in that. So when we have interesting things like this, we'll pass it on. But I would say we went through all of that to just say I don't think there's any real surprises in there right now for LSU, and that's the good thing. Like, the last thing you really want to see is other signees out of this talented class jump up into the first round right now that aren't previously there. And that's not to say that the guys that aren't projected there right now aren't going to still go in the top 10 and sign and top 10 rounds and sign and things like that. But it's just, you don't want to see anyone else emerge if you're LSU. Again, obviously you wish the kids the best and all of that. Just from a strictly LSU competitive standpoint, this is your best case scenario right now for how a first round shakes out. So, I mean, that's kind of my take, is this would be your best case scenario. All right, let's grab a break. We'll come back on the other side with more. It's Friday's AFR, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar. Stick around.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by the Watermark Hotel and the Renaissance Hotel, two beautiful hotel properties in Baton Rouge, the Watermark downtown, the Renaissance Southtown right there on Bluebonnet. And when it comes to hosting your event, both the Watermark and the Renaissance are perfect. The Watermark is a gorgeous, elegant spot in downtown Baton Rouge. That wedding reception, that smaller gathering, that meeting space, they can do it. They've kept so much of the history and tradition of that iconic building while modernizing it. The Gregory is a great restaurant inside of the Watermark as well. And then, of course, the Renaissance Hotel, Southtown, right there on Bluebonnet in Baton Rouge. It's more modern. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous hotel property at the Renaissance Hotel, where they have meeting space that can accommodate up to 500 people, 7,000 square foot of meeting space, perfectly located right off of Bluebonnet and I-10. It's the Watermark and the Renaissance Hotels in Baton Rouge.
Bayou Ford has $10,000 off F-150. $10,000 off the new 2024 Ford F-150. And all new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 7-year, 100,000-mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques, Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar.
We're brought to you by Supper Club. You can book your reservation, supperclubbtr.com, supperclubbtr.com. One of the things about Supper Club that I love is if you want to go to Supper Club and be a baller, you can do it. You want to go to Supper Club and order a $5,000 bottle of Chateau Lafite Rothschild, you can do it. You want to go have $400 shots of cognac, you can do it. You can have experiences at Supper Club that usually are reserved for Las Vegas and New York and Paris and Abu Dhabi. Like, that's here in Baton Rouge. But the thing you got to remember as well, if you want to go to Supper Club and have the best steak of your life and have a few appetizers, a dessert, bottle of wine, you can do it as affordably as any other restaurant in town. But the experience at Supper Club is unmatched. Introduced open seating at the bar, first come, first serve. So if you knock off of work, you want to head by Supper Club, you can walk in without a reservation, see if you can grab a bar stool or a table by the bar as well. Have a great dinner, maybe cocktail, close some business. Book your reservation, supperclubbtr.com, supperclubbtr.com.
All right, continue on here. Friday edition of AFR presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar. Musso in for Moscona. Scone back in the saddle on Monday. He'll catch up on everything that he missed while he was out. We didn't really have any massive news this time, Paul, when Matt was out. Normally, it's kind of a running joke. Normally, when Matt's out, something just huge always breaks. But I guess that didn't really happen this time. I mean, I guess the Juwan Johnson injury, but that's kind of it. There wasn't really anything else.
There's still 30 minutes left in the show, Moose.
That's true. I might have just jinxed him there, didn't I? Well, look, if it happens in the next 30 minutes, we'll give you our reaction, and then Matt will, excuse me, miss the cough drop there, and then Scone will give you his when he gets back on Monday. The little bit of breaking news that we did kind of have here locally today, Woj dropping a Woj bomb regarding the Pelicans. Highly regarded assistant Fred Vinson is leaving New Orleans to join Monty Williams' Detroit Pistons staff. Of course, you'll remember Trajan Langdon left New Orleans to take the GM position in Detroit. So a lot of pipeline from New Orleans up to Detroit as of lately. Vinson, though, spent the past 14 years in New Orleans. Of course, worked under Monty Williams when he was in New Orleans. That's how long Fred Vinson has been down there with the Pelicans, all the way back when they were the Hornets. I believe, and Willie Green was actually on that team. I saw that earlier too. So the big thing with that, why Fred Vinson is held in such high regard is the shooting expertise, what he did with Lonzo Ball, and then obviously with Herb Jones. And it kind of gave, at least as how many people have put it, the Pelicans more flexibility in the draft to be able to, go with a guy who maybe isn't the best shooter and have Fred Vinson work with them and turn them into something like you've kind of seen with Herb Jones. I mean, he's a night and day different outside shooter, and the success you've seen from the Pelicans behind the three-point line has been a huge part of them. So this is absolutely a loss for New Orleans. Like you didn't want to see Fred Vinson walk out the door, and he's had opportunity obviously in the past, but they've been able to keep him. Unfortunately, this time you can't. That being said, it's not a crushing blow to the Pelicans. I mean, look, you still have a great young core. You still have a very deep team. More on that in a moment. But you still have a very deep team. Herb Jones has made those strides. You feel great about him as a player. Trey Murphy obviously continues to get better, and you can potentially sign him long-term here in this offseason. And then, by the way, there's Zion Williamson. And that's really what matters for the New Orleans Pelicans, right? I mean, that's really the key to their success, or at least it should be, is the performance of Zion Williamson, and you still have that guy. So, yes, it's a loss. It's a bummer. You wish that wouldn't have happened, but ultimately, you wish Fred Vinson the best. He was with you for 14 years and loyal for 14 years and really helped develop this current team that you have and that you'll go forward with. So Fred Vinson leaving the New Orleans Pelicans and heading up to join Monty Williams' staff in Detroit with the Pistons. The other thing I wanted to touch on here with the Pelicans a little bit is the NBA draft. That's coming up at the end of this month. Like, we are almost to the NBA draft. In fact, I think that actually might be next weekend. Is that, and New Orleans, the offseason for them is really, really interesting because of all the different things. No, I'm sorry, 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Wednesday, June 26th and the 27th. So end of this month. I'll be at the beach. Lovely. Offseason really interesting with the Pelicans. We've talked about this a little bit after they lost to the Thunder in the playoffs. You have the Brandon Ingram, obviously, contract, or do you trade him? You can sign Trey Murphy long-term, all of those things. And then you really need to address point guard and center. And could you do that in a trade, potentially involving BI? Sure. Or do you look at it in the draft? ESPN, in their latest mock draft for the NBA, it was done by Jonathan Givony and Jeremy Wu. They did it together, and they took an interesting path to it where Jonathan Givony gave a pick that fills the biggest need, and Jeremy Wu gave a pick that would be the best available player at that point. And it got me thinking, what do the Pelicans do there? Or what would I like them to do as well? Do they go need? Because we just talked about point guard, center. Or do they take the best available? So I'll tell you what I think they should do. Let me tell you first what Givony and Wu said that they think they do. So the Pelicans have the 21st picks, their only pick in the 2-round draft. And Givony, who again was picking biggest need, did go point guard for the Pelicans and Carlton Carrington. Somebody you're seeing mocked to the Pels more and more. Now, point guard / shooting guard out of Pitt, freshman year. He was like a top 100 player and now regularly finds himself in the first round. That's how good of a year he had at Pitt as a freshman. 14 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, led Pitt in assists. That was all as a freshman. That would definitely fill need. The Pelicans lack a true point guard and have for some time, and they need one. Like, they really, really need one. As great as Point Zion has been, you can't totally just always rely on that. You need somebody else because Zion can be versatile and give you things all over the floor. Wu went with the best available, and it was I'm probably going to butcher this kid's first name, so my apologies on that, but it was Khalil Ware, a center out of Indiana. So while it's best available at that point in their mock draft, it also would fill a need for the Pelicans. 7-footer out of Indiana, averaged 16 and 10 as a sophomore. That'd be awesome. That would be the only way I'd be okay with the Pelicans going best available. Like, I want them to fill a need. But if the best available fills the need, by all means, that's your perfect scenario. The reason I say definitely go need for the Pelicans right now is because of what we mentioned earlier when we were talking kind of about Fred Vinson leaving. The depth of this team is still there. Like, if you're going to take best available, that's probably going to be a depth piece more often than not. And is that guy really going to be able to unseat Trey Murphy, Herb Jones? I mean, Hawkins looked awesome and looked like a great shooter as well for the New Orleans Pelicans this past year. So I look at it best available and think, okay, I mean, could you land on a guy who comes in and just you hit out of nowhere and he ends up, joining and starting like outperforming Jordan? Sure. Is that likely to happen at 21? Probably not. Could you get a really good player in a major position of need? Yes. And that's ultimately what I would like to see them do more. So like I said, look, you're seeing this Carlton Carrington guy mocked to them more and more. Great freshman year at Pitt. I'd be A-okay with that from a point guard standpoint, and he can play the 1 or the 2. You need him more at the 1, but he can play the 1 or the 2, so I'm here for that. If it were me making the pick, I'm looking need. I'm drafting need first if I'm the Pelicans because you kind of got everything else under control with the depth of your team. You're one of the deepest teams in the NBA, and that's one of the biggest strengths. To get over that hump, fill the position of need, and that's point guard and center. And like I said, if you can do it with the best available, by all means, do it. But don't just draft best available. Go for a need. Try to hit there. We'll see what they do. Like I said, it's going to be a really, really interesting offseason for the Pelicans. And, we haven't talked about it much here. There's just been much more pressing matters to attend to, whether it was LSU baseball season coming to an end, obviously the Saints offseason workouts, things of that nature. So kind of once the Pelican season ended, we left it by the wayside. But, I mean, you follow it. You see the reports. Like, they're looking at some pretty interesting trade options already and being linked to guys like Darius Garland, Trae Young. Like, I mean, they're going to be in it trying to see if they can potentially shop Brandon Ingram, which it's all going to be about fit there for the Pelicans. So, look, We'll see what they do. NBA draft, June 26th, 27th. Remember, they changed it to a 2-night event this year, which I also think is great. Why not? Why it's that second round used to just you fly by the seat of your pants. The second round of the NBA draft. All right. One more segment to go here on a Friday edition of AFR. We're putting a button on the week. We'll send you into your Father's Day weekend. A happy Father's Day, obviously, to all the dads out there. And we'll wrap up next here on AFR. Presented by
AFR.
It has been my pleasure to introduce you to Duplessis Builders. If you've been thinking about building a pool or remodeling the pool at your current home, you have got to discover Duplessis Builders. I could not be more impressed with Derek Duplessis, his team, his staff, and the care with which they go about building or remodeling your pool. One thing is for certain. If you've listened to the show for any length of time, when it comes to contractors, I don't endorse the contractors that are going to be the cheapest. I endorse contractors that are going to be the best, premium products. That is what Derek Duplessis does. Go to the website. Go to duplessisbuilders.net, duplessisbuilders.net. Look at the photos. Look at the quality of work that they do. It's gorgeous. But the bottom line is they will never cut corners or cut costs to give you an inferior project. They will walk away from a job before they do that. Experience Duplessis Builders. duplessisbuilders.net, duplessisbuilders.net.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Farming is a way of life for us. It's not something we get up in the morning and dread going do. It's just something we go to bed at night looking forward to getting up to go do. John Deere equipment is what we as farmers strive to have. It's in your blood, it's in your veins. It's just a part of who you are. Green is what we want to be in. The other tractors were acquired to patch it up to get to where you want to be. Where we want to be is in John Deere. Flip the switch and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar.
Brought to you by Shawbills Tire and Auto Service, ShawbillsTire.com. 18 locations in South Louisiana. Find the location nearest you at ShawbillsTire.com. Bumper-to-bumper auto service and name brand tires at wholesale prices. They will always find a way to get you the best possible price for the best possible tires on the road. That's what they do at Shawbills. And when they get you in by selling you the best tires at the cheapest price possible, they're going to treat you like family, and they're going to treat you so good you're going to keep coming back year after year after year every time you need anything for your vehicle. Tires rotated, oil changed, check engine light on, brakes squeaking, whatever's wrong with your vehicle, bring it to Shawbills. Let them give it the once-over, and you can always schedule online, so it's convenient. ShawbillsTire.com. Find the location nearest you at ShawbillsTire.com. Shop tires online at ShawbillsTire.com. Be sure to ask about the Shawbills credit card as well, because you can save $50 off your first purchase when you use the Shawbills credit card only at Shawbills.
I zoned out. Oops. That's not good there, gang. Alrighty. Yeah, I was reading a Twitter argument about should Virginia have pitched Vance Honeycutt or not. My bad. All right, back here. Final segment.
The scramble was amazing.
Final segment of AFR. Oh, I could hear it. I didn't have my headphones on.
Should I play this?
Yes, please.
Okay.
I didn't have my headphones on, but I could still hear. I could still hear it. When I guess you didn't have the mic on, so I could hear it in the room monitor too.
Yeah.
And it just ended. I don't know. I wasn't actually paying attention, but I could hear Matt's voice, kind of like when I'm sitting, over there in the producer's chair.
Yeah. Fair.
But yeah, that ended, and I'm like, oh wait, it's me. I'm on. All right, here we go. All right, final segment of AFR, guys. We're presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar on a Friday. Yeah. All right. Yeah. By the way, there was a heated argument there about the. It was a fun argument with the pitching to Vance Honeycutt or not. Couple thoughts. Yeah, I wouldn't have either.
Yeah.
Even Casey Cook behind him was 3 for 4,
Yeah.
but. Vance Honeycutt's the best player on the team. I'm not letting the best player on the team beat me. I get it. The guy behind him is 3 for 4. I get it. Yeah, I get it.
Vance was 0 for 4 going up there that last
He was, which again, I can understand. He's 0 for 4, pitched him. I get it. I get it. I just, again, that's the stubbornness in me not wanting the best player on the opposing team to beat me. I just, hell, and you had 2 bases open. I mean, the only run that matters is the run at third base. Walk Honeycutt. Walk Casey Cook too. Pitch to Parks Harbor. I don't know. Whatever. Anyway, I thought real quick on the College World Series nightcap. We do have our pitching matchup for that officially now. Florida State is going to go with Jamie Arnold. He is arguably the best pitcher left in this tournament. Which for that reason, I'm surprised that Tennessee is going with their opener Stamos and then just going to go to AJ Causey. I thought for sure maybe you move up Drew Beam. Potentially to match up with Jamie Arnold, but they're not. Arnold, lefty, really good stuff. Struggled a little bit in the Super Regional against UConn. Look for a bounce back performance. This will obviously be the best offense that he has faced all season. So it'll be a very interesting one to go through. If Tennessee can win this game, they are going to put themselves in a really, really good position because then they will face North Carolina with Drew Beam on the mound, and North Carolina will be going with Shea Sprague, and Shea Sprague's not going to match up great against this Tennessee offense. That is a favorable matchup for them. So if Tennessee can get by with the opener Causey formula here tonight and beat a really game Florida State team that can absolutely swing it. I mean, watching that Super Regional, a lot of homers from the Noles throughout against UConn. Again, it'll be their toughest test facing Tennessee. But if Tennessee can get past it, they're going to be in a great position to go 2-0 and be in a great position as a 1 seed, be in a great position to be the first 1 seed to win this thing since Miami did it in 1999. So that game gets underway here in about 7 minutes or so from Omaha, the Chuck, Tennessee, and Florida State. We'll obviously recap the first round of the College World Series. On Monday when Matt is back in the chair.
Do you want a quick LSU football recruiting tidbit?
I would love a quick LSU
Okay, so we're
football recruiting
hosting the number 1 safety.
Yes.
Jonah Williams. Not only is he the number 1 safety He is also one of the top players on the diamond.
You know what? I'm glad you brought this up.
Yeah.
I'm quite familiar with Jonah Williams. I was reading about him earlier today. 6'3", 205.
We're hosting him for football and baseball.
And baseball this weekend. That's massive. It's a massive visitor weekend for LSU. Double-digit officials for LSU football this weekend. And, of course, baseball's got their own massive visitor weekend with the transfer portal. And, yes, Jonah Williams is the guy that everyone's keeping an eye on. On the field, safety, number 1 safety in the country, number 4 player in the state of Texas, 5-star guy. Obviously, you want him for that. But the baseball side of it's really intriguing, too, because he's an outfielder and center fielder and left-handed pitcher.
Yeah.
He gets up to about 91, 92 miles an hour from the left side on the mound. So that's interesting. It's A&M seems to be the front runner here right now for him, but you come to LSU, you have a legitimate chance to win a national championship in 2 sports. We've seen it done before with Chad Jones, Jared Mitchell, both of those guys doing it in football and baseball. Same years. Same years for them. 2007 with football and 2009 for baseball. The thing with Williams that intrigues me, because we've seen it happen plenty of times where guys try to play both football and baseball at LSU, and it's just not possible because the 2 sports are so demanding. And you leave for spring football if you're a position player, and you come back in the heat of SEC play and you try to hit SEC pitching, and it just doesn't really work out for you very well. The pitching aspect of him is what actually really intrigues me.
Yes.
I'll be curious to see what LSU can do. The other half of that, and this is way down the road, he's also a top prospect for the 2025 MLB draft. So there's no guarantee you'd even get him here for football, provided where he would potentially be drafted. So that's something interesting to watch out for this weekend. I'm glad you brought that up. Yes, Jonah Williams, man, that's going to be a fun one to keep an eye on this weekend. So, look, we'll recap, obviously, the Giant visitor weekend with Shea Dixon on Tuesday on next week's AFR. All right, that is just about
I was super late on
That's fine. Sometimes, Alondra, I've played that at like 5:55, 38. That's going to wrap it up with a week here on AFR. Everybody have a happy Father's Day out there. Safe weekend as well. Matt's back on Monday. Thank you to Alondra for filling in for me. Thank you for Paul. We'll see you next week.
AFR.
Raj about Michelli weighing and measurement. Michelli.com with 30 offices across 11 different states. If you weigh or measure something, Michelli sells, services, rents the products used to weigh and measure. No matter where you are, you can ship your precision measurement devices to Michelli, and they'll calibrate them for you, send them back, or they'll just come to your office, pick them up, and bring them back. They can also do on-site calibration. If you have equipment that can't leave or you don't want it to leave, they can come do on-site calibrations as well with their mobile calibration labs. It's Michelli Weighing and Measurement, online at Michelli.com. Louisiana-born, Louisiana-owned and operated for 76 years. They've continued to grow, expand their footprint while maintaining that local ownership, local feel, handshake deals, face-to-face sales. It's Michelli Weighing and Measurement. They're also hiring. Check out the careers tab at Michelli.com. Again, online at Michelli.com, Michelli.com.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Oshner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a